Jonathan Taylor, there he goes again. 50, 40, down the far sideline. He might do it again. 10, 5, touchdown. I-N-D-Y.
The Eastern Conference Championship has been captured by the Indiana Pacers.
Alex Pillow wins the 109 Indianapolis 500.
This is the Fan Morning Show with KB, JB, and Jeff.
Well, not entirely true, I guess, that last part there. It is the final day of March. Thank you for spending it with us. Plenty of hoops, plenty of Colts talk. Some new news items out there at the league owners' meetings in Arizona. James Boyd will join us coming up in the 9 o'clock hour to chat about that. But, guys, I'm afraid, like, this lineup here on this Tuesday morning is kind of, hey, for Christmas, we got the kids Pacers tickets, and, it's going to be a March game, and, we'll see Tyrese, and we'll see Pascal, and, Andrew Nembhard, and Aaron Nesmith, and, boys, they've got Kevin Bowen, Mark Dykton, and Caleb Zuber.
Look at that.
Need to come up with a name for us three.
Bunch of two-way Noblesville boomers here.
Going to the
7
bullpen.
a.m. on a Tuesday, right?
What are they when they go the bullpen early? It's a non-starter game. What do we call that? Just a bullpen game.
Well,
Yep.
I'm afraid we're the bullpen guys that are not protecting a one-run lead. We're the bullpen guys when they're down 10.
We're position players pitching.
Let that arm die out there.
Spring training expanded roster.
If it has to. That's us three today. So, little shift in the lineup. Jeff will actually be hosting solo this afternoon. He has taken John's spot. I think John's visiting Mom here to round out the month of March. So, again, with James out at the owners' meetings, be back. Is he back tomorrow, Mark, or is he back Thursday?
I'm not sure.
So, I believe they...
Well, I guess we'll ask him.
I think
when are you coming back, friend?
I think they have the Shane Steichen coaches breakfast, AFC coaches breakfast this morning. So, again, James will join us a little bit later in the show. But looking forward to it. I don't know if it's ever been us three, but very much looking forward to today. So, Caleb Zuber, thank you as always. Mark Dykton out of the glass in the big chair. Tom Crean at 9, Mark, you said?
9 o'clock.
Able to book that?
I texted him yesterday. I said, any chance you could hop on? You got me to and from Florida with your and Scott Graham's calls of the national games on satellite radio, and he said, well, thank you very much, I appreciate that, happy to hop on at 9. So I was like, look at that.
Well, it's kind of funny. I know he was very struck by the I guess controlled emotion of Braylon Mullins throughout that finish and that game, a game that Braylon Mullins struggled in. We will have the Greenfield Central, the high school coach when Braylon Mullins is at Greenfield Central, Luke Meredith, join us coming up at 8 o'clock. So we'll definitely talk a little bit more about Braylon Mullins and his upbringing there in Greenfield and being recruited by Dan Hurley and company, and now he will play Saturday night in the Final Four, a bracket that Mark Dykton accurately predicted all 4 Final Four teams. How about that?
So it's tough being at the top. Jeff's trying to cheat me out of money and everything. I don't know if you can win. I'm like, we playing for second here? What are we doing? I have no inside information. I did draft JT Toppin with my pick in our players draft, so let's not act like I'm some hoops knowledge guy.
I know part of me thinks now, looking back on it, you might have done that on purpose. Like you are the gambler that had the insider trading in one of your bets, but you just threw another one so off the wall, so hopefully the feds won't come for you.
I didn't make it obvious, like go to Great American Ballpark and put all my money on my Final Four. And like, well, this is a red flag. This guy doesn't win ever. Well, what does he know? Nothing.
Let's look up that Dykton history on the old betting slips there. Looking forward to today, and thank you for spending it with us. It's supposed to be a very nice day outside. And, I was thinking about this on the drive in, Mark, and honestly, if you just look on the other side, have you guys looked on the other side of the library right now, downtown?
Oh, yeah. I had to dink and dunk my way through there yesterday because I had to go south.
Is that a Ferris wheel going up?
Yeah, uh-huh.
There's a Ferris wheel.
I believe that is.
Oh, man.
I was over at Cluster Truck post-show. The Kevin Bowen Burger is on the horizon, by the way.
Can't wait.
Happy 10 years to the great folks over at Cluster Truck there. I believe the pimento cheese sandwich is making a debut here with Masters Week on the horizon as well. But so I was over there and looking outside, and, they are starting to set up in the, Legion Mall area the stages for some free concerts. And, I was just thinking about, last time we had the Final Four was 21. That was still in the thick of the COVID tournament. You remember, that was a miracle that tournament even went off.
Yeah.
And the execution of that tournament, for 67 of the 68 teams, to be able to play their games, not have any sort of issues, but you had limited fans for that. So, really, this is the first time in over a decade that we have had the fan experience. So we'll go over some of that all week long because there are some free aspects to downtown Indianapolis this week from a concert standpoint. You can attend the open practices on Friday. I believe Lucas Oil Stadium has free parking on Friday if you want to go inside and watch the four respective teams hold a practice in there. Of course, you got the games. You got a busy Gainbridge Fieldhouse on Sunday with the D2, D3 NIT final. I believe we have some ticket giveaways for Hinkle Fieldhouse. Is that correct with the 3-point
the
slam
State
dunk?
Farm slam dunk and 3-point contest? Yes, we have a couple sets of tickets to give away.
Don't quote me. I should double check the roster, but I believe Fletcher Lawyer is going to participate. Very fitting, of course, as the program's all-time 3-point shooter. And I believe Shea Seski, if I'm saying that name right, maybe Chesky. I should probably look up my European pronunciation on that. Great couple seasons for Indiana after she transferred over there. So, yeah, I've been to that before at Hinkle. So that's Friday night up there. They'll have the NIT semifinals at Hinkle on Thursday. So, busy week of hoops. And selfishly for our city, I'm just glad that, we can experience it again, full throttle, with all the fanfare that should go with one of my favorite weekends.
You going to make your way out to any of the concerts or anything like that?
Well, JMV was trying to talk me into Chainsmokers, and I told him, you're going to have to talk Matty Bone into Chainsmokers as well, and you're going to have to get a babysitter for us.
Mm-hmm.
But I do love me some Chainsmokers. Now, when I went to, is Revel still in existence, by the way? Did you ever venture to Revel downtown? Know. Boy, that was quite the entrance. Me and a club downtown, probably not, peanut butter and jelly necessarily there, but went to the Chainsmokers concert with Mr. Flo Rida. He was rocking a Jalen Rose jersey back in the day. I don't believe the Smokers came on until about 2:45 in the morning, which, me, Nervous Nelly, I kept on thinking to myself, doesn't this place close at 3? Like, are we going to
look at your watch?
Are we going to have to get booted?
Guys, I think we need to wrap this up.
Yeah. They're like, dude, just shut
Father
up.
Bowen. Those were your early days before kids. You were still on the clock. Where are these kids at? Why aren't these kids smoking up, lighting up on the Chainsmokers?
Yeah, there was definitely a lot of, lighting in the air.
I'd like to see Post Malone if possible. But that
Post
ain't
Malone, Zach Brown Band, right?
Uh-huh.
I'm trying to think who else that I saw on there. I mean, definitely acts that, like, people, and if I'm not mistaken,
21 Pilots, I think.
Thank you, 21 Pilots. I'll have to double check. I believe those concerts are free. And we'll have Sarah Meyer, who is an absolute goat with the Indiana Sports Corps. She's going to join us coming up on the show tomorrow to kind of go over some of the fan stuff that you can attend. So we will do that. Again, Luke Meredith, the high school coach of Braylon Mullins at 8, Tom Crean at 9. We will have James Boyd join us bright and early at 9:30. We did hear from Chris Bowd yesterday. We will play some audio from the Colts general manager and explaining a little bit more of their thought process throughout the offseason. It sounds like the door is, I guess, a little open to an Anthony Richardson return. There's probably an element of believe it, I'll fully believe it when I see it, but we can hit on that. But definitely defensive line and linebacker, they had some comments on, so we definitely need to hit that today.
Yeah, definitely. Did you shower, by the way? You look very put together.
Come on, Mark. It's a teaching day.
That is true. See, I've been on vacation. I forgot.
Right, and you said, hey, we need to try and get Kevin's shirt off. I don't think that's happening on a teaching.
I mean, what do you think? Professors can't unbutton their shirts?
Should I get one more button on that? How about Mark there kind of pausing? You look very...
I was going to say spry, but I didn't think that was the correct terminology.
Like, boy, I'm going to now experience what it's like to be Ashley Dykton here for a second. I got
wait till I show you what I have in my backpack for you a little later on.
Well, easy now. I know that, driving back 65, you can stop at a lot of those stores on the old side of the highway there that aren't Buc-ee's.
Well, we're still unpacking from spring break, and so I was going through some stuff like, aha, I think I'll bring this for the morning show tomorrow.
We will get to today just a little bit more on Purdue and kind of putting a bow tie on that. I think at some point it's okay. The portal does start, a week from today, if I believe that is correct. I think it's literally the Tuesday after the national title game. But what's next? And, looking back on this season, and, we had Rob Blackman on yesterday, and kind of asked him, if you look at those 3 Elite 8 runs over the last 6 or 7 years, which is the one that maybe stands out the most in having that sour taste. He went a little sentimental, understandably, with Larry Clisby and his passing during that 2019 year. But, all three of them, I think, have a lot of unique traits, to them. And now it's going to be another, pretty big rebuild, probably the biggest that Matt Painter's had to endure, albeit when you look at, some of these others, they did lose a ton of minutes. So something we can kind of go over throughout the show today.
Curious about Purdue fans' thoughts on things, too, because I kind of put that out on Twitter after the game on Saturday. Kind of like, how will you remember this era of Purdue basketball? Obviously, you're disappointed about the way Saturday's result turned out. But overall, when you reflect, maybe a year from now, 5 years from now, a decade from now, are you going to look back and say, like, man, those are some fun times? Or are you going to say, like, well, we never got a national championship? Because I would argue that, yes, you didn't get a national championship. I also say this is one of the more fluky championships to win because it is single elimination and all that. So it's very hard to do. We've seen 16s upset ones all the time. Purdue was on the hook for that before as well. So it's hard to do. So is it championship or bust in your mind? Or you say, well, the Zach Edey, Braden Smith eras, those are some pretty good times looking back on it.
And there's one more thought I had just from the game on Saturday of, like, Arizona's a wagon, right? You've got them winning it all. I've got them winning it all. Like, I mean, they are a great, great team. Is there any feeling of like, damn, I wish we would have gone down swinging with our fastball? Like, when you watch the game Saturday, they had a 7-point lead at halftime, and they were playing lineups in that first half that looked like us three.
Yeah.
Hosting this show today.
Mm-hmm.
Daniel Jacobson and Oscar Clough are not supposed to be out there together for extended periods of time. And they were in the first half. You built a 7-point lead at halftime with Trey Kaufman-Renn battling foul trouble and Fletcher Lawyer having probably his quietest game in over a month. And then the second half rolls around. And again, we talked about it with Rob yesterday. Boom, Kaufman-Renn gets his third foul like right away. And it just seemed like even though they still had a lead, even though they, had the first half that they did, it's like I remember audibly saying to myself, oh bleep. This is where I feel like it's going to turn.
Rubber meets the road here.
I get Arizona probably beats Purdue, 8 out of 10 times? Something along those lines. But let's not forget, 2 weeks ago, Purdue's beating the team that's actually favored over Arizona on Saturday night on a neutral floor to win the Big Ten title.
Right.
A game where Purdue led, virtually throughout
in
Michigan in that Big Ten championship. So, I haven't really felt that from a lot of Purdue fans since Saturday of like, damn, yes, we got hit with a freight train in the second half, but I wish we would have been able to throw our right hand at them and not have to play. And again, some of that is probably Arizona's doing, frankly, of they're so effective, they're so big, they're so skilled that Trey Kaufman-Renn, although I'd say 2 of his first 3 fouls are very just kind of self-induced almost. Some frustration fouls out of him. So we can get into Purdue as the show moves along. And again, we'll definitely hit Colts, probably the most we've done here over the last couple of days. We have a Final Four set in the women's bracket. We did see one of the league proposals that we debated out there in Phoenix get withdrawn by the Browns. We'll hit on that. And again, Luke Meredith, head coach with Braylon Mullins there over at Greenfield Central. He'll join us at 8. Tom Crean at 9. James Boyd at 9:30. It's a hodgepodge show today, closing out the month of March. Kevin Bowen, Mark Dykton, Caleb Zuber, right here on 93.5, 107.5, The Fan. The Andy Moore Group campus out in Avon is a one-stop shop with a variety of brands. One of those brands includes Volkswagen. You want to talk affordability out there? How about over 25 new vehicles under 30,000, including the 2026 Jetta? If you want to go the used route, over 40 vehicles under 15,000. Volkswagen, some of the highway mile per gallon leaders, over 30 miles per gallon on highway for Jetta, Taos, and Golf GTI. Vehicles that you can get out there, Atlas and Jetta. 0% APR for 60 months for qualified buyers on the 2026 Atlas. So, again, you're going to get some affordability with over 25 new vehicles under 30,000, including that 26 Jetta, and also from the used route, over 40 vehicles under $15,000. Right off Rockville Road, you know that's always the place to be out there in Avon. The Andy Moore Campus Group, Volkswagen, Kia, Nissan, Toyota, all that available to you right off of Rockville Road out there in Avon. Galaxy Concrete Coatings, indoor and outdoor concrete, sidewalks, porches, patios, garages, basement. They have a ton of styles for you. And I think that's the first place I would go is the website, galaxyconcretecoatings.com. When I heard about it, I was like, okay, I like what I'm hearing. Now I need to see it. Go to that website. You'll see the styles. Again, it's indoor and outdoor concrete, Galaxy Concrete Coatings. That is the place to go. Garages, basements, patios, porches, sidewalks. Best in the business. Manufacturers upgrade the warranty from 15 years to lifetime. Patios, definitely something they specialize in a lot. I think I speak for a lot of people that probably were outside last night and want to be outside again today. The new patio would look great via Galaxy Concrete Coatings. Indoor and outdoor concrete, garages, basements, patios, porches, sidewalks. Contact them today, galaxyconcretecoatings.com.
The Morning Checkdown on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
All All right, coming up at 8 o'clock, Luke Meredith, the head coach of Braylon Mullins in high school. He will join us to talk about all the heroics from Sunday and a look back on his high school career. Tom Crean at 9. Mark Dykton, let's begin with the NCAA Women's Final Four. It's the same grouping as last year. It'll be UConn, South Carolina, UCLA, and Texas. South Carolina and Texas both rolled last night. The margins in these Elite Eight games, 36, 26, 18, and 12. I think we're used to chalk in the women's bracket. I was surprised this is only the first time, I think they said in 8 years, that all the 1 seeds have made it to the Final Four. I would have ventured to guess you would have had more of that.
Yeah, that is surprising. You would have thought it happened more frequently and more often.
Yeah, so absolute chalk there.
Who you got winning?
I assume it's undefeated UConn, right?
Yeah, I had South Carolina winning, but I don't know.
And they've obviously played in the tougher conference here building up to it, but that'll be the women's Final Four coming up this weekend. Of course, we've got a lot of activities here, really starting, I would say, Thursdays when things start to pick up here in the city. So we'll continue to update you on events, free stuff, Lucas Oil, Gamebridge Fieldhouse, Convention Center, right just south of us here, American Legion Mall. I'm sure I'm missing Gamebridge Fieldhouse on Sunday. We'll keep you posted on all of that and alert you on that. We might have some ticket giveaways a little bit later in the show. Pacers will practice today. They are in Chicago coming up tomorrow. They're on the road. I believe it's all week here. Charlotte and Cleveland after that. Speaking of the Bulls, just a really unfortunate story right now involving Jaden Ivey. Mark, I'll be honest, I have not watched all of the Jaden Ivey, I guess, social media clips that have gone viral. From what I've read, they've involved some homophobic and racial, I guess slurs, tones. I don't know exactly the best way to describe all of it. Waived by the Chicago Bulls yesterday.
Conduct detrimental to the team, they said.
And I think he had admitted, a couple months ago, again, just an awful injury for him and breaking his leg last year. And the rehab and going through all of that, he had been very public about his mental health and how much was being impacted by that. And clearly this is at another level. So hope Jaden Ivey can find the help that is needed, not only for his physical health, but probably most importantly for his mental health. Thought a lot about his mom, who just wrapped up her season with Notre Dame, and probably almost a blessing in a way because they are super close for those not super familiar with Jaden Ivey and his mom, Niele Ivey, the women's head coach at Notre Dame there. So, just hope that he can figure some things out and most importantly, on the non-basketball side of it, but also get back on the floor eventually.
Yeah, no easy transition, but we moved to baseball. The Reds moved to 3-1. See, look, I'm being nice. Reds shut out the Pirates 2-0 yesterday. Cubs knocked the Angels all around 7-2 there. White Sox get their first win of the season, 9-4 win over the Marlins. Brewers get their first loss of the season against the Rays, 3-2. Cardinals fall to the Mets, 4-2. And then the Indianapolis Indians, they get back to work looking for their first win of the season. They visit the Columbus Clippers tonight, and that's a first pitch of 6:15.
Was there an ulterior motive in you mentioning the Reds?
No, it was just being nice. Just be nice. Nice 3-1 start for your guys. World Series or bust, I assume.
I feel like there's a little bit of that. I'll have to keep my eye on.
I have Ellie De La Cruz on one of my fantasy teams. By the way, I accidentally
fantasy baseball. You're a sicko.
He said one of.
Well,
by the way.
Great point, Caleb.
So
great point, Caleb.
Okay, I'm in one that I've been in since college for like
Aren't
20
you a
years.
father of 3?
I know. That one takes forever. We do an auction league, and I'm not kidding. I was in Florida, first day of vacation. It was 4.5 hours long. Sitting on the phone, Ashley's like, "Is that done yet?"
I'm like, "Ashley's still with you."
4.5 hours. But no, the other one.
Might as well just say I'm going to go play golf with myself, and then I'll do this fantasy draft at the same time.
I was in line at the Tron ride at Magic Kingdom with my older two, and we're standing in line forever. It's like, this is going forever. Reach in my pocket, and I did not do this on purpose. I don't know how my pocket dialed this. I was in a fantasy draft. Somehow I signed up on my phone, and I'm in the middle of a draft. Like, you have the third pick. I'm like, what the hell? So I picked I had Bobby Witt Jr. I'm like, what in the world? I don't know how I did it. I did it. I'm in a random fantasy baseball. I think that's the second time that's happened, too.
You're a sick individual.
I don't know how my phone does that. How did it open the Yahoo app, and how did it say enter, draft, or join league? I don't know.
We'll get some Colts content here coming up on the other side. James Boyd will join us at 9:30. He's out there at the league meetings in Arizona. I did see NFL-wise, I don't think there's a lot of like rule change debate proposals. I know the 18-game schedule, of course, has been a hot button topic. I did see yesterday the Cleveland Browns withdrew their proposal on trying to extend the ability to trade draft picks from 3 years to 5 years. I think we're used to this rule in the NBA. Honestly, it's part of the reason why the Pacers were able to do the Ivica Zubats trade. You were able to trade draft picks out in the future. I just assumed the NFL would do this. To me, all it does is add entertainment value. Yeah. Doesn't it lead to more trades?
More trades, more drama. They're going to add an 18th game as well. So they're like, yeah, whatever
so
brings in more. Yeah, why not? My concern is just GMs that probably won't be there for the 5 years are going to make decisions that will have long-lasting ramifications for the franchise. So that's the thing that concerns me as a fan.
So you think it's more of the owner saying,
I mean, you
no.
better be pretty confident in that guy if you're willing to ship off picks 5 years from now.
Well, I think that's a debate. It would add more because the one thing the NFL probably lacks is the amount of trades that you see in other professional sports leagues. I mean, honestly, I think one of the bigger reasons why people do gravitate so much to the NBA is the damn trade machine and all the things you can, think about and whip up here. Whereas the NFL, we just don't get that.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, I guess, from an ownership standpoint, you'd have some hesitancy from your team building, but also if you want to dangle the entertainment value aspect to it, that would have been there. So, again, James Boyd going to join us coming up here in the 9 o'clock hour. We will hit on, I know he had some takeaways from his conversation with Chris Ballard. We'll hit on some of those on the other side. Continue to look back on Purdue and their season coming to a close. I don't know if you have caught it, Mark, but I'd say over the last week, the Indiana-Purdue venom has been hot and heavy in the YouTube chat.
Been ratcheted up a little bit. People probably not enjoying the spring break, so they're getting their venom out here.
I do have a question for you. Do you count, you were born in what year?
85. Tail end.
Okay, I was born in 89. Notre Dame won a football national title in 89. Ironically, your Bears won the Super Bowl in 85, right?
Uh-huh.
Do you count that in your fandom?
No. I was barely a month old. My parents claim I was in a rocker or whatever, and my dad and uncles were watching the game, and all. I'm like, I have no recollection of this. I've seen the videos on burned DVDs. Do kids even know what burned DVDs are these days? I've seen it that way, but as far as memories or anything,
you didn't have
no.
Jim McMahon eye black on your diapers?
No, wasn't rocking the Ruse headband like Walter Payton or anything like that. No, the one Super Bowl memory I have is the Bears Colts. I don't count 85. I have no recollection of that.
Yeah, it seems like we've gotten this debate here with the IU Purdue faithful of, can you count the dusty banners if you're not in that?
If you're not dusty yourself, is what you're saying?
Well, I'm not asking you to be dusty if you're not, of age. If you're not potty trained.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You have to be 45 or older.
Are the third graders saying IU, and they're pointing to the banners?
To qualify as that. So, yeah, we can get in a little bit of that debate as well. Again, Tom Crean going to join us coming up at 9 o'clock. You've got the Pacers two-way version of the lineup here this morning on the Fan Morning Show. It's Kevin Bowen, it's Mark Dykton, and it's Caleb Zuber. Join us, 317-239-1070. Oh, Mark Dykton with a hair compliment here on this Tuesday morning. I appreciate that. I should be thanking We Grow Hair Indy. They are the gold standard when it comes to hair restoration. I'd say up on that billboard, the northwest side, the after picture looks a lot better than the before picture. So thank you to their staff for that. You can check it out, WeGrowHairIndy.com. You'll see plenty of before and after pictures and videos and what they can offer you. A couple questions I had. One, what would the recovery process be like? I was a little hesitant, frankly, about it. I had a procedure done on Friday, and it was a long procedure day. I'm definitely going to acknowledge that. I did have to sleep upright for a few days afterwards, but outside of that, really not too bad. I was back at work on Monday. I actually took a vacation with some buddies the next weekend, so that aspect to it Wasn't too much of a hassle whatsoever. Again, you probably have questions. You want some answers. They can provide that for you. A free evaluation, private evaluation, virtual evaluation, all of that is available to you at We Grow Hair Indy. The gold standard for hair restoration, Northwest Side, building number 2 at the Pyramids. It is We Grow Hair Indy.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
You open to hear some of this over the weekend?
Little chain smokers, Caleb Zuber. Let's go.
Come on now.
Man, I can always rely on you. And to be fair, Mark Dyson as well for excellent re-entries. They are a part of the Final Four lineup here in Indianapolis. We'll continue to go over some of the events and concerts and stuff outside of just Saturday night and Monday night. Not everybody can have a perfect Final Four like Mark Dyson does.
It's hard to do.
Get into what I think should be just two tremendous games coming up inside of Lucas Oil Stadium.
Kevin also just opening that song plays before 2:45 in the morning. God, can we get some sleep here? I gotta go to bed.
I'm telling you, man. There we were at Revel. I was like, what in the world? And once Flow Rider came out in Jalen Rose jersey, I was like, no, everything's fine.
Play My House.
Everything's fine. My House, exactly. That was the go-to back then with Mr. Ryder there. It is Kevin Bowen. It's Mark Dykton. It's Caleb Zuver. You've got the Louisville Bats roster in the month of September getting the call up. That's what you've got
Bringing
here
it strong. Prospects weekend.
on the show today.
You said no, the Noblesville Boom. I was like, are we tanking? Is that what this show's doing
I
for
don't-
today? Like,
yeah. I don't know if I should make the analogy to like Pacer players that you were necessarily getting in the lineup, but I'm sure if you've been to a Pacer game this year, you've looked out on the floor at times and been like, who is that? I think that's kind of what people maybe are.
Let me flip through the game day. Oh, that's okay.
Yeah, when they're flipping up their dial, turned on the radio this morning, you might get some of that. Tom Crean at 9, James Boyd at 9:30. He's out there at the league meetings in Arizona. We did hear from Chris Ballard yesterday. I wouldn't say anything too eyebrow raising from him. It does sound like, Mark, the thought this offseason was Alec Pierce, Daniel Jones, get that done, take a swing for Trey Hendrickson. Once that did not come to fruition, it was, we're going to pivot all the way to depth.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to go a little bit more quantity over high-end quality. We're going to try to rely on the draft. Again, that's kind of been my thought, but those were pretty much Ballard's words yesterday.
Do you think that's kind of faulty logic that we were going to go swing? Like, I feel like when fans hear that, they say, well, we were going to get Trey Hendrickson, and then he went to the Ravens. So now, instead of pivoting and putting that money towards another high-end guy, we're going to put our hands in the pockets and just try to get some depth pieces instead. And then we'll just rely on our draft, which, by the way, we don't have a first-round draft pick for.
Yeah, I mean, if we go back several weeks, because I believe it was a Tuesday morning when all of a sudden you had the Ravens and the Max Crosby thing fall through. And I think I said to you guys, like, my first thought was, oh, bleep, this is going to mean the Ravens are going to pursue Trey Hendrickson, and I think this could very well impact the Colts not getting him.
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly how it ended up playing out. But the conversation for me more in regards to Trey Hendrickson, because that was not a slam dunk for every Colt fan out there.
Right.
You know, there are some that said, hey, 31-year-old coming off hip surgery, I don't know if I want to dip my toes into that water. My approach is more of, this is the issue when you have missed so much at defensive end in the draft. And, you know, again, when we had Chris Ballard on the combine, he got a little pissy, I thought, with that question there. We could go over the evidence if he would like even more. I mean, I think it's pretty clear he has missed and missed significantly when it comes to the draft at that spot. That, to me, is more the root of the issue. Because, like, when you get into the free agency period, well, the problem with free agency is all you need is one team to screw your plans.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what happened.
Yeah.
Baltimore just screwed what the Colts were trying to do. The Colts waited one day into free agency. If you remember, Mark, on that Monday, we saw a couple pass rushers, younger guys, sign elsewhere. Jalen Phillips, Adafa Owe, Boy Mafe. Some of these guys signed other places, whereas Hendrickson was kind of the one that waited. And then all of a sudden, that leads to all your eggs are in that basket. And when that fell through, now here you are with an offseason that really looks a lot like previous Colts offseasons under Chris Ballard. And it's more of the, we'll play the quantity game. We'll play the second and third wave of free agency game, and we'll try to build a roster that way.
Yeah, and I just think that's a little bit silly considering you've seen past experiences, how that's worked out as far as, you know, having depth pieces but not having those high-end talent guys. And then you go into the season, and I feel like every training camp we always say, there's at least one position here that is of concern heading into training camp. And for the most part, when we come out of the training camp, like, yep, that is still a concern. I could tell you there's a couple of issues of concern heading into this season already. So I don't know if the draft can fully fix everything or not, but there are a couple issues. Linebacker, edge rusher. Once again, are those that we've been told that these are deep pieces in the draft, but will the Colts be able to actually find and identify those quality players in the draft without a first-round pick? Remains to be seen.
What did you hear on the Anthony Richardson front? I know that's kind of a headline that has exited out of the Ballard and I guess even the Carly Ursay-Gordon conversation there, but did you hear door open?
Sure sounded like it. He was on with Kay Adams yesterday and discussed that. And Caleb, I don't know if we have that audio ready, but let's just give that a listen, and then we'll give our reaction to what he said about Anthony Richardson's future with Indianapolis.
You've invested in Anthony Richardson, last one for you. A potential trade on the table?
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, you know, I got where his agent, who's done a really good job with Anthony and where Anthony's, you know, mindset is. Nothing's materialized at this point. So we'll see what happens going forward. I'm proud of Anthony. He's had some bad luck, unfortunately. But I'm proud of him. Like, Anthony's he's a good young man. He's a good teammate. Like, when he didn't win the job, that was kind of one of the cool things that came out of it. Like, watching him learn and be an unbelievable teammate, that was fun to watch.
So that tells me, from what I heard, he's trying to sell Anthony Richardson to other teams. He's saying doors wide open. We haven't heard anything yet. He's a great teammate, great locker room guy. Come get him if you want him.
Yeah, I still don't
That's how I took it, at
think
least.
he'll be back with the Colts this year, Mark.
Mm-hmm.
Now, my thought in regards to Richardson this whole time has been this. The Colts need to squeeze every penny out of their cap space.
Mm-hmm.
So by trading Richardson, you would have gotten $5 million, or you would get $5 million, off your cap by doing that. And, that just adds up. The Zaire Franklin trade, the Michael Pittman Jr. trade. Again, there are a lot of cap-saving moves the Colts have already made, and they could actually make a few more. But now we sit here on March 31st, and I'm like, the Colts don't need cap space. They've got nearly $30 million.
Right.
Like, it's more of where are they going to spend it, not, how are they going to spend it? So my line of thinking has shifted a bit. Like, when we were at Quartet Coliseum for the Horizon League semifinals on that Monday, that was the start of free agency. It was kind of like, all right, these are the moves I think they will do. The Zaire Franklin trade had just happened. Pittman Jr. occurred later that day. To me, those were rather obvious. This is one where I would be just fine if they kept Richardson.
I actually won't be surprised if they do keep him at this point.
See, I don't know if I'm there. I would be fine, though, keeping him. Like, to me, I don't think it's that high maintenance to have him be the backup and this hanging. Like, I don't view him as like a hanging cloud over Daniel Jones by any means. Like, when Daniel Jones is healthy, he's a starter.
I also don't think that he's gonna unless he outright demands, goes public and is like, I want out of here, get me out of Indy. I don't know if that's necessarily going to happen, where he's actually banging the table, get me out of here, this and that. They could say, we haven't seen the market for him. I don't think they're going to outright release him. Do you see that as a possibility? I don't.
Yeah, I mean, again, do you need the cap savings?
No. But do you also want to just do right by him and say, fine, we can't find a trade partner for you, so here you have 31 other teams to choose from now?
If Daniel Jones misses a month next season.
I was going to say this, Kevin, the longer this goes and the more info they're getting on Daniel Jones' recovery, right, don't you think that's something where it's hey, if we know he's probably definitely not going to be ready for week 1, that's more of a chance to keep Anthony around?
Yeah, and I'm not reading that much into it, Caleb. I hear you out. But, when I say Daniel Jones misses a month, what if he misses a month in the middle of the season? I mean, unfortunately, Daniel Jones' injury, Carly Ursay-Gordon has the quote of, well, we paused the movie from last season, and we feel like we need to start the movie again. Well, if you want to continue the movie analogy, the problem is we don't get to the final scene with Daniel Jones a whole lot in his NFL career. That's just the reality of his availability and some inconsistent play. So,
there's also plenty of Netflix and chill movies that I have not picked up and watched the second half of. You pause them and then you never pick them back up. Just saying.
Sounds like you're getting to some different ratings there.
I'm just saying.
As the night moves
sometimes
along.
You pause a movie and then you never see how it finishes.
Boy, nice problem to have in the old.
I'm just saying that.
Do you think if we did a poll, Daniel Jones misses a month of the season, would you rather see Anthony Richardson start or Riley Leonard start? What do you think the answer would be, and what would be the percentages?
Because there are still some AR backers out there.
But there are a lot of people that are I'm also done with Richardson.
I would also say that those people are the vocal minority. So I would say more people would push for Riley Leonard because it is a greater unknown as far as what they have in him. They've seen so little of Riley Leonard that they would be like, you know what? Let's give the kid a spin. Let's see what we have going forward.
And what they did see was he played pretty all right in that Texans game most recently. So sure. I think it maybe would be a 60-40, 65-35 Riley.
And again, I think that's the route the Colts will go. I think when offseason program opens up on April 20th, when they get out there for OTAs, which again, OTAs is the 11-on-11 period of the spring. When they get out there in late May for that, I assume it will be Riley Leonard taking those starting reps as Daniel Jones continues to rehab. But there is a part of me that's like, is it the end of the world if you had Anthony Richardson on your roster? To me, he's not this just, crazy Dan Hurley type of distraction or, however you want to equate him. By the way, was the Dan Hurley, is the headbutt video of the ref, and the headbutt's too much of a term, is the nose to nose real? Or is that AI?
I think it's real. I thought it was AI too, but I think that's real. Yeah, he was a psychopath. He always is. But
awesome for college basketball.
I like him much more than I like Mick Cronin because Dan Hurley Mick Cronin just bitches and moans about everything. Dan Hurley, he's a psycho. He's a basketball psychopath.
We've all had that friend at the bar that all of a sudden starts looking like that at about before the Chainsmokers come on at 3. And, he starts looking like, he had the one sleeve, he kind of had the suit jacket, half the sleeves off. And all of a sudden he's just like headbutting and bumping into everybody. It's like, dude, just please get in the cab.
He's on,
please.
He's doesn't have the kids for the weekend. He's the divorced dad. He's like, I'm going out for the night. That's what he looked like.
Full throttle there.
Mom was swearing up a storm in the stands. Earmuffs for the kids next to her. But yeah, what a wild man he is. But yeah, head to head with the ref. I'm like, how is that not a technical or something?
Dan Hurley had more contact with that ref than Alec Pierce did in the Houston game.
I know.
And Alec Pierce got the heave-ho.
And the ref was just kind of like, all right, Dan, calm down. Like, he just like got his old hat with him.
Now, let's hope he finds his March Madness pin before he gets down to Indy.
He was freaking out.
Superstitious. So
boy,
they don't win without that pin this weekend. He better find it.
He's a psychopath, but he can also, like, he was talking up Thad Matta
Are you saying he's a charming psychopath?
He is. I would say so. I mean,
It's Christian Bale in American Psycho.
I remember when he was interviewing.
Let me see your business card, sir.
When he was interviewing for that Lakers job, I was begging for him to stay in college basketball.
Yeah.
Like the NBA doesn't deserve you.
Yeah.
We need you in college, but we need the crazy personalities there.
The old guard in college basketball is getting a bit up there. Dan Hurley's like
exactly.
We need him.
It'll be him and Brad Underwood. That'll be the first game coming up Saturday, a little after 6 o'clock, and then after that, it will be the matchup of the night, which is saying something because I think the undercard's pretty good as well, but Michigan and Arizona to follow from that. Again, in about 15 minutes, we'll have Luke Meredith join us. He was the high school coach of Braylon Mullins. We'll chat about Dan Hurley with him, among other things. Tom Crean at 9, and James Boyd will join us at 9:30. One league note from yesterday. Again, we had the NFC coaches chat with the media yesterday. I believe it's AFC coaches this morning out there. I saw a report that Kevin O'Connell, the Vikings head coach, mentioned Jonathan Grenard, who was a rumored trade candidate, pass rusher, very accomplished pass rusher in his NFL career, especially with the Texans. The thought was he would be on the trade market. I think there are a lot of Colts fans that believed, hey, maybe this is a route they go. They take one of those day 2 picks, your second or your third rounder, and that's how you acquire, more of a bona fide accomplished pass rusher. Kevin O'Connell mentioned that he thinks it's likely Jonathan Grenard will stay with the team. So does that take away, one of the options that you have there? By the way,
that seems to be one of the bigger names still like floated out there that, yeah, you would be like, okay, that'd be all right. But if he's not going to go anywhere, then it's another, misfire there.
JT Tuimoloau, it sounds like we're calling him Jalen Tuimoloau now.
Okay.
And he might be your starter if you were going to go play a football game tomorrow opposite Latu.
Well, then you better figure out how to pronounce his name and which name he's going with if you're a Matt Taylor or something like that. By the way, did you see the NFL head coach's photo? Do you like those annual photos?
Oh, yeah. And I love when Big Cat from Barstool writes a story on it.
Reviews everybody. What'd you think of Shane Steichen's fit there? Blue polo. Seems like everyone's in the blue. Everybody brought blue for the most part.
Disrespectful, put Andy Reid in the back row. I laughed at Aaron Glenn. I believe he was the only one wearing his team gear. A lot of people commented that was to remind everybody that he still has a job.
Robert Saleh looked like his stuff got lost at baggage claim. He was in like a white hoodie.
How is Andy Reid not front and center?
I know.
We don't have Belichick anymore. We don't have Carroll. We got to have Andy Reid in the middle.
Yeah, I don't know how he got in the back.
Who was Steichen next to? Was it D'Amico Ryans?
Yeah, I'm zooming in now. Looks like, yeah. And then Sean Payton's in front of him, Mike Vrabel in front of him. Yeah.
Vrabel just looked like a straight alpha. Did you see the video of Vrabel at the Boston College Pro Day?
I did not.
Oh, my gosh.
He got into it. He started running drills. And
it looked like he was ready for the Oklahoma drill.
Mike McCarthy's wearing an outfit that looks like he's like going to a father-daughter dance.
I'll go over a few more of those James Boyd takeaways from out there coming up here in a little bit. I know you had some Purdue thoughts, Mark. We chatted with Rob Blackman yesterday and kind of putting a bow tie on things for the Boilers. But, in terms of how this season is viewed by the Purdue faithful.
Yeah, so, Saturday obviously did not go the way the Boilermakers had hoped for or their fan base. But I was just like, what is the overall vibe from Purdue fans? Like, you take 24 hours, take 48 hours, take whatever you need to kind of digest the result of Saturday. But how will you look back on this era of Purdue basketball? We had the Zach Edey era, the Braden Smith era, got to a national championship, didn't win it, had some Elite Eight appearances, all that. You also had some, clunkers, some early exits against St. Peter's and whatnot. how do you handle this Purdue era? Is it a missed opportunity situation where you had some great senior class here that just fell short? Zach Edey was a generational guy in college basketball. How do you view this time in Purdue basketball? Are you going to look at it fondly in 5-10 years from now? Or are you going to say, we had all the talent. We had all the talent. We missed it. We didn't get a championship. No banner to hang up in Mackey. How are you going to view this? I think it's a success. Most college basketball programs would love to have the success that they had. It is very hard to win a national championship. Again, it is a very fluky way. It's a single elimination. We see 16s upset ones these days. So there is no best teams are always making it to the national championship team. There's lots of upsets all the time. So Purdue is on the other hand of that for once in a while. So how would you view that? It's a fluky tournament. Do you hang the banners as far as all the Elite Eight appearances and Final Fours and whatnot? Or is a missed opportunity situation? I'm curious your thoughts too.
Yeah, I think I think it's fair to call it a missed opportunity while also acknowledging, 99.5% of programs would have taken what Purdue has done over the last 4 years and not even batted an eye at it. When you look at it from an individual sports standpoint, it's got a little bit of like the Phil Mickelson runner-up feel in majors.
Mm-hmm.
I brought up Reggie Miller yesterday with the Pacers. You mentioned this in the first segment of the show, Mark. We had a few Purdue fans chime in on the text line. Adam goes, a great ride, but still had marginal success in the tourney given the regular season success. It's funny how, in a way, you label marginal success for Purdue in the tournament. In the last 3 years, Purdue has won 10 NCAA tournament games. 10.
Yeah.
Do we want to play this game again? How many programs won 10 NCAA tournament games in the last 3 years? How many teams have been to 3 straight Sweet 16? It just, you can debate this till the cows come home. Of only thing that matters is a championship. Yeah. That's it. That's
I had Purdue fans.
Only thing that matters.
Purdue fans say, I don't care what they do in the regular season. It's all what happens in March. That was the standard heading into this season. I'm like, that's a wild way to live. That you're just like, I can't even.
Again, I'm speaking from a Notre Dame football fan of the more removed I've gotten from that national title game against Ohio State, do I view it again as a missed opportunity? Sure, you're playing for a national championship. You're 60 minutes away. But also, did I not get a ton out of them beating Penn State in the Orange Bowl?
Right.
Was the win over Georgia in the Sugar Bowl not incredible? Was, beating Indiana in the first home playoff game not an incredible atmosphere and I was very lucky to be at? I felt all of that. Did Purdue fans not feel something when Trey Kaufman-Renn tipped it in?
Yeah.
Did they not feel something when they beat Michigan in the Big Ten tournament? So that's where I can't just live in this world of it has got to be cutting down the nets.
It's championship or bust.
The first Monday in April. But it is funny because we had a few people reach out yesterday, and I think this is the uber minority, but I will mention it. There are a few people that are if this was the NFL, would we view Matt Painter how the Steelers just viewed Mike Tomlin? How the Ravens just viewed John Harbaugh? Would we view it in that light?
Right.
It is an interesting thought. Again, I think college sports are different, to be clear. But if this was a professional sports situation, you probably would get, I don't know if owners would necessarily be as antsy, but we do see very accomplished head coaches fired for not getting over the hump, to steal the Mike Woodson phrase.
Yeah, I had some comments. Jake had said, not the guy at noon. Jake had said, grateful to watch this run the team has made. They gave me some great memories these last 4 years. Disappointed for them that they didn't reach the goals they laid out. There's more to life than championships. Our guys came to stay and play for the front of the jersey.
It seems like a very mature response.
Mm-hmm.
Kyle here, Purdue fan. I obviously wish they could have won it all at least once, but we did get to watch a kid from Westfield who no one recruited, developing one of the greatest point guards in college history. Yeah, I think the more removed you get, there's probably a little bit of that continues to be the future thought you will have in looking back on this. But I'll go back to what I said to lead off the show. When I think of Saturday night, there is a little bit, if I were a Purdue fan, of thinking, look, Arizona probably beats us, 7 or 8 times out of 10?
Mm-hmm.
But I would have liked to have gone down swinging with our real punch and not our counter. That first half, you built a 7-point lead with a lineup that looks like us right now in the morning show. A bunch of misfits trying to make it work here.
Throwing it together and seeing what sticks.
Purdue built that lead with Braden Smith on the bench and Trey Kaufman-Renn battling foul trouble and Fletcher Lawyer not having a great first half. Of Daniel Jacobson giving quality minutes and Jakari Harris is throwing in a couple threes. Then Kaufman-Renn gets that third foul early in the second half, and that might be more of the individual thought I have. Like again, to go back, to me in that national title game, there's a thought that I have probably far too often. I wouldn't tell Maddie this of like, what if Notre Dame gets that final third down stop when Ohio State ices the game and Notre Dame gets the ball back and they have a chance now to go down and force the game into overtime. That is, for Purdue, I get that obviously they got smoked in the second half. But again, 2 weeks earlier, you beat a team on Saturday night that plays Arizona. Right now, I think Michigan slight favorite. I'm pretty sure they are.
I believe they are.
You beat them and led for pretty much the entire game, if not all the game, in the Big Ten tournament to win it on a neutral floor. So that's definitely a thought that I think would cross my mind of like, damn, I just wish we would have gone down with Kaufman-Renn out there, not in foul trouble, and then seeing what could happen. Maybe the result's the same. Probably very well would have been the same, but, is that a little bit more on your mind?
Yeah. Well, Purdue fans, you got a little bit longer to think about it and all that stuff. But maybe to soothe your emotions here, maybe you can win a chance to go to the State Farm Slam Dunk Contest and 3-point championship.
Oh, look at that!
Look at this. We got a pair of tickets.
Is there a Purdue connection in that?
There might be.
I believe the sharpshooter, Mr. Lawyer's in it.
So hang out there, get a pair of tickets, go to that. That is Friday at Hinkle Fieldhouse. How about this? We go to the text line. First person to text the word dunk, D-U-N-K, to 317-239-1070 gets that said tickets. Caleb will hook you up there. How about that? Might have another one to give away as well.
Mark Dykton spelling dunk for all of us here on this Tuesday.
Well, sometimes the autocorrect, doesn't give you the right language. No, I'm trying to say dunk, not dink or anything. No, dunk, D-U-N-K.
Tremendous education there. On the
We're
other
on
side,
spring break. We got to try to teach the kids.
More on Braylon Mullins. His high school coach, Luke Meredith from Greenfield Central, is going to join us next. We'll chat about the star of the Elite Eight and the shot heard around the world, especially in Hancock County, coming up on the other side.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
72-70, Duke, 10 seconds to go.
Got to cut and run through the ball, and who better than this guy?
Get it into Boozer, back for Sarr, ahead, Boozer, that ball deflected and stolen by Mullins. Caravan, 2 seconds, Mullins tosses it up. Ah! It's good! We're .3! UConn goes in front!
Utterly impossible.
March means drama!
And with that, the first reported earthquake in the history of Hancock County occurred Sunday evening around 7 o'clock as Braylon Mullins from 35 feet and the Onions, the apt description there from one Bill Rafferty, Iron Eagle, terrific on that call. And to talk more about Braylon Mullins and his days growing up, and probably one that will remember that shot for quite some time. He was the man that coached Braylon over at Greenfield Central. He is Luke Meredith, and he joins us here on this Tuesday morning. Luke, can't thank you enough for the time, man. How you doing?
I'm good. How about yourself?
We are great. It was a where were you moment. I picked up my 5-year-old daughter. She's freaking out like, what are you doing right now? When Braylon Mullins hit that shot. I have zero ties to Braylon Mullins. I have zero ties to UConn. But it was just one of those moments where the sports world overtook me. Where were you when that shot went in?
I was in my basement, my house here in Greenfield, watching it with my family. As soon as the shot left his hands, I said, OMG, that might go in. And when it went in, it was LFG, but not the regular LFG. So it's pretty surreal, pretty awesome moment for him, his family, and our community.
I was reading the story afterwards, and I forget who mentioned it, but someone said he had hit a similar shot. I think Braylon had mentioned he had hit a similar shot like that in high school. Do you recall the game or the moment when he had, made, I don't know if it was the exact game winner or making that sort of shot?
Yeah, absolutely. 2 years ago, we played Pendleton Heights in a double overtime game, and he hit, as soon as it left his hands, similar walk-off three-pointer, which coincidentally gave him 52 points, which is the all-time single-game scoring record here at Greenfield Central High School.
Luke Meredith on the Payless Liquors hotline with us this morning. Luke, have you talked to him since then? Shoot him a text or anything like that? Have you talked to him during this tournament run at all?
Yes, I know that he's been bombarded with thousands of texts. He was on the Pat McAfee show. He was on the Today Show and Sports Center. But I texted him and told him that I loved him and congratulations. And then he took time out and FaceTimed me yesterday. So that's just the type of kid he is. Great kid, very humble, soft-spoken, just a kid that cares about others.
And that's the voice of Luke Meredith, who coached Braylon Mullins over at Greenfield Central here, and it'll be UConn and Illinois coming up. Some local flavor on the Illinois roster as well, coming up Saturday night inside of Lucas Oil Stadium. Luke, I think CBS showed it, and I know locally we've mentioned it before. Braylon's father, Josh, played at IUPUI, was a very good player on their NCAA tournament team, and I believe he was on your staff at some point there at Greenfield Central. When did you first meet the Mullins family? Could you kind of take us back a little bit of your first interaction with them and then Braylon?
Yeah, sure. So when I got the job here at Greenfield Central High School, Braylon was an incoming 7th grader. And his father is a police officer here at GPD and also an SRO here in our high school. And so we connected, knew that I had to get him on staff. And, he's a friend of mine and their family is great. Katie and Josh are high school sweethearts that grew up and went to Greenfield Central High School. And then, Braylon, he has 2 twins that are Cole and Clay, seniors now, that just committed to play at Franklin to play basketball. So great family, good people. And, Braylon is kind of one of those kids that exploded on the scene super late, which I did think that helped, keep and remain him humble because, in between his junior and his senior year is really when he kind of made that leap with confidence and growing into his body and his athleticism. And so it just is kind of awesome to see it come full circle and to see him do it on that stage and to have this type of, opportunity to play here back home in Indiana in the Final Four.
Luke Meredith with us on the Payless Liquors hotline. Coach, while you were coaching Braylon in high school, what did you notice were his biggest strengths and what he needed to work on while he was in high school, and how has he developed that since?
Yeah, I think the greatest strength for him is he obviously is an elite shooter. I mean, literally shocked when he would miss. And there would be times in practice where he would just get it going and go through these flurries just like he does now on this stage where, he'd hit 3 or 4 threes in a row and just, could hit them from Caitlin Clark, Steph Curry range with ease. And so shooting is something that, he always came natural to him through being in the gym, growing up with his father, being in the gym every single morning with me during his high school seasons. But I would say one of the things for his weakness, we talk about for him being able to be more vocal and also bringing that out. So I had to call him BMF, Bad Mofo, because sometimes I needed to bring out that edge in him and what he needed to be on these opponents, because he was such a humble and soft-spoken kid that there would be times in games where I needed him to show that he could do that. And then once he flipped that switch, there was nobody that could ever guard him. Always the best player on the floor.
Was that on purpose? Braylon Mullins, Bad Mofo, BM? Was that on purpose?
I mean, it just kind of works, right? Yeah, I mean, it just kind of worked. I don't know. It was a halftime speech. It just kind of happened, and now it's BMF 24. It's kind of the nickname.
Look at that.
Man. Kind of worked. Yeah.
That's T-shirt sales right there. You need to get a copyright out.
I was going to say, talk about an acronym I'm never going to sniff here. That's the voice of Luke Meredith, the Greenfield Central basketball coach, and Braylon Mullins was there. I do want to hit on Dan Hurley and UConn. You mentioned, obviously, his recruitment kind of blowing up a little bit later. I know the Mullins family has talked about, I think Josh actually been on these airwaves, has talked about just how active Dan Hurley was in, coming to Greenfield Central and making sure there was an in-person presence to that recruitment. What do you remember about the interactions with UConn?
Well, their staff is great. I mean, and Luke Murray was very influential. He's going to actually be introduced today at 2:30 to be the Boston College head coach, but he's great too. And they recruited Braylon harder than anybody else. And also, when you meet Dan Hurley, he's exactly what you would think. Like, everybody sees all these theatrics on the sidelines, and that's true. But, I mean, we went to the depot here locally at Greenfield, and he ordered an IPA. He said, "What do you have on draft?" Like, he ordered a beer on a recruiting visit, and they are cool. They'll talk to you like regular people. They get it. They work their tails off. And so it just kind of fit. It fit Braylon being out in stores, which was similar to Greenfield, kind of, no disrespect, kind of out there in the middle of nowhere where he could just focus on doing what he wanted to do and hoop. And then their staff was phenomenal and flying in on private jets. And honestly, they out-recruited IU just by working harder.
What do you remember about, I guess, IU's involvement in Purdue, if at all, there with Braylon?
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of a whirlwind 6 months where we would have, we had Matt Painter, we had Mike Woodson, we had Hubert Davis, we had Rick Barnes. I mean, we had the who's who here at Greenfield Central High School recruiting and trying to get Braylon. The greatest thing that I remember is, Matt Painter coming in at 7 a.m. in one of our shootings that we used to have that I talked about in our breakfast club. And, Braylon's on the gun shooting, making 500 shots, and he shot, 90%. And so I was thinking, oh, my goodness, Painter's going to be all over him. And they certainly were. Another thing, with IU, Brian Walsh, who's now an assistant at Ohio State, he was very, much here and a part of that. But Woodson kind of was from afar. He came to a couple of our games, but wasn't necessarily as involved as maybe Dan Hurley or Matt Painter or some of those other guys.
Luke, appreciate the time. We were noting earlier on our drives in that the Final Four setup is getting underway downtown here. Any plans for yourself? Are there irons in the fire to be in the building Saturday evening?
That's the goal. I did reach out to Luke Murray. I said, hey, we were in this room. It was Josh, Katie, Braylon's parents, myself, and Braylon. And they put a picture of Braylon up on the JW Marriott as a mural, kind of like what they do now with the tournament bracket or they had with Taylor Swift. And they said, hey, we're going to bring you back home to Indy. And when that happens, we're all going to be there in that building. And so after he hit that shot, I was like, hey, Luke, Coach, I don't know the appropriate time, if ever, but, I'm going to need some tickets. So he said, I got you. So I'm hoping and praying that I get to be there to support. I'm going to try to check him out on Friday. It'll be more low-key at their practice. They practice at noon at Lucas Oil. So I'm going to be there in some fashion, but hope to be there with my entire family Saturday and hopefully, knock on wood, Monday.
That's awesome.
Luke, were those driveways filled on Sunday night and Monday as Hancock County kids trying to replicate 3-2-1 there?
That was so awesome. I mean, I have a sixth grade son, and he says in his PE class they were shooting half-court shots trying to replicate. First person to make it was Braylon for the day. Just the talk of the town. He's so proud. We're so proud of him. Greenfield Zone. When you pull into the city now, it has Olympian Jackie Phelps, and then it has Mr. Basketball Braylon Mullins. So it's out of a movie. Our real own Jimmy Chitwood, our BMF Braylon Mullins.
BMF indeed. Coach, we can't thank you enough for the time here. Congrats on all of that. Really appreciate your candor and your insight this morning. And hopefully we'll see you in the building there coming up on Saturday night.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
That's Luke Meredith right there. Again, the head coach of Braylon Mullins back at Greenfield Central. Some great stories, Mark. I enjoyed that on many, many fronts.
Not once has anyone said my nickname was BMF or anything remotely close. They probably used some of those letters, but never to describe me as an awesome athlete or anything like that.
Yeah, different B word probably for me and you. both on that front there.
I'm telling you, get a copyright out there. Braylon Mullins, BMF. That's pretty solid.
CBS did a little, like 2 or 3 minute kind of feature on Braylon and his parents on before the game on Sunday. But I think there with Luke, you can kind of hear a little bit more into first off, I think pretty honest about the late recruitment. I think kind of helped keeping him very centered. I know we played earlier this year, Mark, after one of the UConn games. Dan Hurley kind of went down that path of how Braylon Mullins is wired, and for a kid that ended up being a very highly ranked recruit. He's one that's going to give you something on the defensive end of the floor. He's one that's going to continue to work. It's not this high maintenance approach, even though I'm sure the NIL dollar would indicate, he would have every right to be that. And if you want to look at the game itself, and I think Tom Crean will comment on this when he joins us coming up at 9. Tom Crean is on the Westwood One call of Duke and UConn on Sunday, and Tom Crean tweeted after the game, he was struck by watching Braylon Mullins' body language throughout that game, a game that he had struggled in. A game that his only 3-point make was that one.
Yeah.
And, for a freshman to be in that moment, to think about all the things, he's not probably had a great month of March, to then step up and, obviously take that shot, but, bang it home. It definitely shows you just the type of kid he is. And, man, can you imagine? What a moment. What a freaking moment. BMF.
And Caravan to toss it back to him. Like, no,
I
you take the shot.
I thought that was such a great play by Caravan.
Because you would have thought, he'd at least hit a 3-pointer. You're like, oh, okay. He'll throw it up. Nope. You take it.
Yeah, but
okay.
Here's your most accomplished.
And he had just hit one, like two possessions before that.
And he's your 5th or 6th all-time leading scorer in school history. He's been on both the national title teams. Like, he's the one that has earned the right to shoot that. And again, it's not like Braylon had this great game to that point. But boy, yeah, just what a heady play. What an absolute heady play there. So obviously the recruitment's there from probably more of an Indiana side of it than a Purdue side of it. Make you pause a little bit. But,
also the defense by the Duke defender. Throw a hand up or something maybe next time.
Who was that kid? Was that Sarr?
Isaiah Evans.
Evans just didn't get a hand up there.
Just stared at it like everybody else. Like, oh, all right, let's see what happens here.
It's the shell-shocked nature of I can't believe we just turned it over. I'm not committing a foul. I'm not going to do anything here.
Advancing the ball, too, none of that. There's a lot of stuff that Duke did wrong down the stretch. I'm like, none of this makes sense to me.
A 2.5-point underdog coming up on Saturday. These two teams have met UConn, Illinois earlier this year. It was actually in Madison Square Garden the day after Thanksgiving. Obviously, that was a long, long time ago. I guess the lines changed. Both lines are 1.5 right now. Illinois favored by 1.5. Michigan favored by 1.5 for Saturday. But Keaton Waddle only had 3 points in the game. Terrace Reed Jr., who's been very good for UConn, also had a really limited night there. I think it was Mullins' first game back because he dealt with that ankle injury a little bit in the offseason that bled into the regular season. So enjoyed that one with Luke Meredith. Thank you to Greg Rakestraw. I was texting with Rake on Sunday night saying, hey, any chance you've got a little Greenfield Central connection here to help us localize the story? And
there you go.
Rake delivers, as always. Like the Easter Bunny will deliver on Sunday.
Well, is it this Sunday? I guess Easter is this Sunday. Good Lord. My God, that's catching up to me.
Are you a Peep fan?
No, not at all. My brother loved them back in the day, and I couldn't have found them more disgusting.
I think Peeps stink.
Wow.
Are you a Peeps fan? You just got offended.
I am. I'm on an island here.
Stop that. That's fake. You're just trying to be the counter guy. You're just trying to make this show sound good.
This is Team Thin Mints in this room, and then Team Peeps over there.
Can I interest you in this? A couple years ago, Pepsi came out with a Pepsi Peeps drink.
Yeah, that sounded hideous.
Hey.
Wow. I'd rather
come on.
I'd rather do mayo. I'd rather do mayo in this hot coffee again. Is Will Levis still around?
We've done that twice already. I don't know if I want to make it a third.
Yeah, absolutely incredible. Tom Crean at 9. James Boyd going to join us here coming up at 9:30. We were talking about Anthony Richardson a little bit earlier, Mark, and maybe the door cracked open from the Colts brass yesterday, and saying, well, maybe he could return. Jason on the text line was asking where Anthony Richardson would rank cap-wise for a backup quarterback. It's a very fair question. I believe his cap hit would be $10 million for this season. I'd venture to guess that's on the higher end of backup quarterbacks in the league. I don't think it's like an absurd amount. I think backup quarterback, frankly, matters a good amount in the NFL. But to where, and I totally understand Jason's question, but my thought is, does it matter at this point? Like You've
got money to spend.
You don't need money for your first round pick. Like, you don't have a first round pick salary cap, line item that you have to have for this year.
And you're not up against it where you need to make some cost cuts or anything like that.
So, and again, Richardson's contract comes off the books after this season. They can pick up a fifth-year team option, which they won't do. They could do that here. I think it's due by sometime in May. So I understand the question, Jason. And again, if they would have done other stuff of note in free agency, I do think that question would be a little bit more of like, okay, I don't know if you've got the dollars and cents to make Richardson work. Like, he is making, I think it's 10 times more than Riley Leonard. Yeah. We probably should note that. I mean, that's obviously a huge amount. But again, you're at a point right now with your accounting where it's like, you've got room. And you don't, I don't see it as that big of a burden.
No, I don't think so either. I think that's one of their least concerns because, like you said, they have money and you don't know where they're going to spend it because they have it left over. They have it sitting in the bank account somewhere at West 56. Then you're just like, I mean, are you going to use any of that? Or are you just sitting it around? Maybe they're using it for contract extensions or something because it's just sitting there right now with no plans of using it except for maybe some depth pieces or whatever.
By the way, have you watched this Jailblazers on Netflix yet?
I have not. I've heard of it. I saw it maybe yesterday on Twitter, but I do not know exactly what it pertains to.
I can't wait to watch that. I know you and I fall in the similar age group there. Caleb, are you?
Is that one of those Untolds or whatever they're called?
Yeah, I'm familiar.
Do you have any affinity of the old Portland Trailblazers of Rasheed Wallace and Brian Grant and those guys?
I've always heard about some of the controversies they went through and some of the good basketball teams they had. So I did see that, and I do want to watch that to kind of educate myself a little bit.
I did watch the Rory McIlroy doc last night on Amazon Prime. That is basically Rory's life and then a huge focus on last year's Masters, in particular the final round. I mean, I'm a golf sicko. I wanted maybe a little bit more out of it, but it's a decent watch if you're looking for something this week.
Don't you think it's too early to do a documentary talking about the Masters last year? Like, shouldn't we let that marinate and bake a little bit before
Kevin is going to say, bite your tongue, sir.
I'm just like...
Look in the golf world right now, Caleb, we need some good news, brother.
Yeah.
That is true.
We need some good news, man.
I was on high alert driving those roads of Florida. I was like, oh, there's a tiger on the loose. I got to watch out.
Unbelievable, man. Get some help and get a driver.
Yeah.
I was like, man, you were all frothing the mouth the possibility of him playing the Masters. I don't think that's the furthest thing he needs to be worrying about right now.
I need to think about the human more than anything. Let's get Will Haskett on Monday or Tuesday.
Sure.
Let's do that as we preview a little Masters action. Of course, Monday will be the national title. We've got a lot to get to with Tom Crean coming up at 9. Caleb, let's hit a morning check down.
The Morning Checkdown on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Well, speaking of the Final Four, the women's bracket is down to 4, all number 1 seeds in the same 4 as last season. It's undefeated UConn. They were joined over the weekend by UCLA, and then last night, South Carolina and Texas both rolled. You had margins of 36, 26, 18, and 12 in the 4 Elite 8 games there. So we'll get all chalk in the women's bracket here of all number 1 seeds.
Baseball-wise, yesterday, Cubs, White Sox, Reds, all winners in their
How about Sal Stewart for the Reds? Can we keep talking about the Reds?
Sure. Sal Stewart would tell me about him. I don't know.
He's hitting the cover off the ball, and he's getting on base right now more than really anybody's ever done to start their career with the Reds.
Solid start for Cubs starter Edward Cabrera. Made his first start as a Cub since getting traded to them. 7-2 winners over the Angels there. Reds 2-0 shutout win over the Pirates. The Cardinals stink. They lost to the Mets 4-2. Sell the team. They're terrible. Brewers get their first loss of the season too. They fell to the Rays 3-2. Indianapolis Indians looking for their first win of the season, off to an 0-3 start, hoping to get on the right side of the column with a win tonight against Columbus Clippers. That's in Columbus. That's a first pitch of 6:15.
They'll be back at home on Tuesday, I believe, for those trying to get the Indians here.
Trust me, we were digging out through the garage, and I found some beer bats. I'm like, oh, boy. We're getting close.
Let's go. Get a little dirt in the bottom of those. Really be baseball season as we get a little foamy beer and some dirt. Pacers practice today. They're up in Chicago. Again, I still think they're in a comfortable spot from a tanking standpoint with 2 weeks to go in the season. They could probably flirt with a win or 2 and still be, again, in a good position. At Chicago Wednesday, at Charlotte Friday, at Cleveland coming up here on Sunday. we should have mentioned this a little bit earlier. We had Ronald Norwood on the show yesterday. Finley Bizjack, probably their best chance at a returning player from last year's team. He did enter the transfer portal, so you've seen, as you would expect, a good amount of portal activity for Butler so far in terms of departures. Portal officially opens up 1 week from today. I assume Finley Bizjack, Texas kid, if I'm not mistaken, he'll probably be looking at a healthy payday out there in the portal world. NFL news to get to. Again, not a lot from a league headline standpoint out there in Arizona. We'll see if anything happens from an 18-game standpoint today. But, Mark, we did see the Cleveland Browns proposal withdrawn. To remind everybody, they had proposed having the ability to trade draft picks up to 5 years in advance. Currently, it's just up to 3 years. This would be very much like an NBA rule. The NBA allows you to trade picks in future years. And I guess, we debated this a little bit in the opening hour. I guess there are two sides of it. One, the owners might say, hey, I don't want to give my GMs that much control, the ability to trade draft picks that far in advance. The counter to that would say, from an entertainment value standpoint, the NFL, if there's one thing lacking, it's probably trades. So the ability to do more of these trades could lead to a busier trade deadline, a busier offseason when it comes to that.
Yeah, I could see why the Browns also want to trade 5 years. They're trying to get out of that Deshaun Watson deal still. If we trade 5 draft picks, can we get somebody take them off our hands, please? Please get rid of that? No? Okay.
Did I see a headline yesterday where, this could be Deshaun Watson's year? I'm like, what
who is saying that?
I swear it was Jimmy Haslam, the Browns owner, which...
They still have a baker's dozen quarterbacks on that roster, too. You want to talk about depth at quarterback? The Browns have it. I don't know if it's good depth, but they sure have it.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. On that end.
Somebody says there's a Dr. Pepper cotton candy flavor. Are we just putting candy in sodas now?
They said there's Dr. Pepper Peeps. I'm going after the show.
I mean, Peeps are freaking horrific.
They are.
I'm going to bring some. I'm in here on Friday. I'm going to bring some for everybody.
What was our acronym that Luke Meredith just gave us? BMF. You could change that around to describe Peeps.
I would just say BM, bowel movement, would be what's happening there.
Well said, Mark.
The other thing is just I don't like the grittiness. Like I've touched them and I'm like, ew, these putting this in your body.
Texture-wise, they're horrible.
Yeah.
Can you imagine Uncle Caleb coming over and hiding some Easter eggs in the backyard, and all of a sudden he throws a couple Peeps up in the
unwrapping up. Here you
Come
go,
on,
kids.
Man, what are we doing here?
Yeah,
I don't like this.
You got an ice cream truck around the corner that you're trying to
listen. Okay,
bring
it's
around?
not the best, but it is Easter. Like you have to, it is associated with Easter. And I'm never going to say I don't like Peeps. Like, come on.
No, Reese's has told Peeps to get the you-know-what out.
Yeah.
The eggs, yeah. I mean, pretty good. Can I like both?
I'm going to look at you a lot
no, I
differently.
can't. I guess. That's all. It's against the rules, I guess.
My body language is speaking 1,000 words to you.
By the way, road trip-wise, you were in the car recently, right?
Yeah.
You do road trip snacks?
Yeah, Maddie did such a great job of we had a 6-hour drive. Every hour you could open up one of your little snack items. Now again, we had some help. We had some grapes in there. We were trying to build it as healthy as possible.
Your diet starts tomorrow,
but that kind of helped the "Are we there yet?" questions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I found that to be really good.
Throwing a grape in the back.
Shut up. The Gardetto garlic chips. I think those are excellent. I had some Cheez-Its. What else did I have? Some peanut butter M&Ms. Yeah. We had a variety there.
So I went through my backpack.
Maddie went with the beef jerky from Buc-ee's, I think I told you about.
Okay. So, that segues perfectly.
You're opening up your backpack right now.
I was going through my backpack because I knew, you and I were hosting together today.
I'm a little nervous.
First of all, little morning jerk. I don't know if you're interested.
Oh,
wow.
There's some,
hashtag morning jerk.
There's some Buc-ee's there. Also, I know you're a cream pie guy.
Look at this.
There's a whole box of
cream
pies
from
for
Mark
you, sir.
Dighton. Unbelievable.
I know Cluster Truck is coming later. I don't want to spoil our appetites.
No.
But
not at all. That'll go great. The chicken
if we want
Caesar
to
wrap
binge
from
a little
Cluster
road trip snack food,
There's
man.
only one thing that would complete this if we had Dr. Pepper Peeps.
Well, you could find
chase some jerky and cream pies.
You can
with
find me in the handicap stall there for the next 20 minutes after that.
Let's get through the show first before we're down in Peeps flavored Dr. Pepper.
I do want to make sure we mention this because I know we mentioned it in the first hour, but just thoughts of Jay and Ivey right now. It's a story that you never want to see at all. I have not going to pretend like I have consumed these 30, 40, I guess even longer videos that he's had on social media. In some way, shape, or form, I guess expressing some sort of homophobic, I believe some racial.
I had just seen some homophobic stuff.
Okay.
So, I mean, But yeah, just thoughts with him for sure.
Yeah, the Bulls waived him yesterday. For those that have missed this story, about a year ago, he suffered a very gruesome injury. And, I think a player of Jaden Ivey's skill set, obviously any injury is notable, but, he is a peak athlete when he's out on the floor. And I think it really hindered his physical ability on the floor. And, he's been outspoken before about his own mental health and some struggles in that area. So clearly, there are some things that Jaden Ivey's got to take care of. I thought about his mom a lot. She's the head coach of the Notre Dame women's team. They are very close, very, very close. I think anytime you watch Jaden at Purdue, she tried to make as many games as she could in balancing what she was doing there, and even in his NBA career has done the same. So, just thoughts of Jaden Ivey and trying to figure it out, probably more from a mental standpoint than a physical standpoint right now.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. I saw he was on Instagram Live again after getting waived by the Bulls, doing some rants too. So hopefully he gets the help he needs. Hopefully he can talk to his mom, get his head right and everything like that, but not a good situation.
All right, coming up on the other side, much more on where the Colts are from a league meeting standpoint. We'll continue to hit a little bit on Purdue as put a bow tie on that. Tom Crean at 9, James Boyd at 9:30. It's the show of the Misfits. Kevin Bowen, Mark Dykton, Caleb Zuber on a Tuesday.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
This is for the road trip talk?
Yeah. Were you listening to this on the way down to
No,
Florida?
I despise this song. Actually.
Whoa.
Really?
I do not like it.
Now that's a scorcher. That's a hot take.
That's
I mean,
crazy.
in a 10-hour drive, you can't give this 3 minutes?
No.
Come on.
My oldest was obsessed with the Cars movies, and so I heard this song relentlessly for a while. And so I just got so sick of it. I'm like, I can't hear it anymore. So the second I hear it, I'm like, oh, God.
Max Bowen.
PTSD.
He had quite the fall a few months ago. We had to spend a few hours up at Peyton Manning Children's, and Cars was on in the room. So him and I just posted up watching that. And, boy, now that you say that, now I'm having PTSD thinking back on him having to get his little cut all glued back together.
Yeah, it's just...
It's an all-timer, though.
Yeah, it is a good one. I think I can get over it.
I don't think I was a fan of it really when I first heard it. And I'm like, all right. And then I heard it 10,000 times when she was younger. And I'm like, yeah, I definitely don't need to hear this again.
We're calling this the Noblesville Boom Show. It's the two-way contract show. You bought Pacers tickets back on Christmas. You thought you were going to see a star-studded lineup, and you've gotten Kevin Bowen, Mark Dykton, and Caleb Zuber.
On Final Four week.
Oh
I mean, there's media flying in thinking that this is the normal show.
Right, exactly.
You know, it's not. It's not.
All the national media is like, wait, this is the ESPN radio affiliate in town morning show here? James Boyd out in Arizona. He'll join us coming up 9:30. Jeff Rickard, our captain, he will be filling in for JMV this afternoon, so John will be out, but we'll be back tomorrow, so Jeff will have you from 3 to 6. Now
we're in our break, by the way, and you downed one of those oatmeal cream pies.
No.
You haven't eaten it yet?
Saving them.
I take the whole box.
No. I'm only taking 2.
I'm the Squidward meme.
Did you come? You got to come get one,
Looking at
Caleb.
you guys through the glass here.
I'm saving the belly for the chicken Caesar wrap from Cluster Truck. It's coming at 9.
Have you had one of these before, Caleb?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Hashtag big fan
Well, come
there
get
for your
yourself
promo
one.
code
I will get one.
over at Cluster
If you
Truck.
want some morning jerk, you can get some of that too. Come on in here.
Yeah, morning jerk.
Mesquite peppered.
Morning
Wait.
jerk and cream pie in the same sentence, not what I had on the Mark Dykton bingo card. here.
I know we got to
Tuesday morning.
get to like some Colts talk here, but I did want to. I had this pulled up, and Mark, I just want to. You missed this last week.
I need 2 balls in each hand.
Yeah.
I need balls in hands.
I mean, you missed that.
Caleb,
Well, I appreciate you bringing that to my attention
And so,
because
I mean,
Caleb, what the hell, man?
I mean, that was wild.
now,
And
context around that.
no, I like it better without the context. Actually,
Shout out to Jack Daniels in the small ball tournament we did over the past few weeks. Joe's Grow in Westfield, the Bulldog, the little home neighborhood watering hole. Then our championship up at Parks Place. But if you're playing small ball, if you're playing, Pop-A-Shot, if you're doing any of that, it's all about volume shooting. It's balls, quantity of balls over quality of balls.
It's like the Colts defensive line. They went
Yes.
quantity
Right.
over quality.
Exactly. Yes. We need reps. We need balls hitting the backboard, preferably. I think that's the best strategy. Are you a Pop-A-Shotter, Mark?
I am. Yeah.
What's your form?
Oh, just as fast as you can.
Right. So, I mean, I've seen people go right and left hand.
We're not following elbows at all.
No,
We're just throwing it up
we
there.
are not beefing it. Balance
Sometimes
eyes,
they're
elbow fall.
two-handed it.
Shout out to Tony Brown, a member of the 1981 IU National Championship team. He was at Joe's Grow in Westfield. He came over. He probably shot 98%. Now, every shot he took, you could have done the Giannis free throw count. I mean, the form was impeccable. It was beautiful to watch, but we need reps.
Right.
We don't need a 98% shooter. We need someone that's going to go 80%, but it's going to get up 150 shots.
We need high water marks here. We're not looking for form or anything like that. Can you play that one more time, Caleb? Kevin's?
No.
Please do.
I need 2 balls in each hand.
Yeah.
I need balls in hands.
I like how James just went, yep.
I was going to say, James in there with the, just the affirmation.
Now, tomorrow, warning sign. You know what tomorrow is?
April Fools.
Tomorrow's the dumbest day of the year.
Ooh, I'm glad I'm not in here
Tomorrow's
for
the
that.
dumbest day of the year.
Be aware. Watch for all the fake tweets and all that
Darn
stuff.
Schefter,
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Ian Rappaput,
Oh, man.
all of it.
I forgot about that, man.
Pete Thomas instead of Pete Thamel.
Oof.
I mean, you're going to see all of it tomorrow. And I'm not going to name any names, but I think in recent April Fool's shows, we've had a few dupers.
Did you see that Sydney Sweeney's going to be the live-action Princess Peach in the Mario movie? No, it came out. No.
Did Jake really ask Alec Pierce if he
Yes!
was dating Sydney Sweeney?
He did.
I mean, I guess when that money hits the bank account, you can kind of, see what's going on.
He's been on that for like months.
And Alec Pierce politely said, I have no
Yes.
idea what you're talking about. By the way, I think last year we had a comment on the show. Maybe Hunter Dickinson was coming back to Kansas for an 8th year.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was one of our April Fool's dupes. So fair warning to everybody out there coming up for tomorrow. Caleb, you got some Chris Ballard audio. This was Ballard in regards to the D-line. Again, this is out there. I believe this was Lair Overton out there at the league owners meetings. You can find this on the Colts YouTube page. But yesterday we did hear from the Colts general manager, and these are some of his defensive line thoughts here through the offseason.
Depth is so important in this league. Like, you can't, like, to expect 4 guys to get through a 17 game into the playoffs is it's impossible. So we wanted to make sure we added depth, especially inside. Buck and Grover we think are still special players, but they're getting a little older. So the ability to add, Nandi and Colby and Tillery, we think all of them are going to really help us. Plus Tommy coming back, which we thought he took another step. And then on the edge, having Jalen back, having Latu, who we think Latu's going to take a whole nother step, but adding Arden and Clemens, who both play extremely hard. We think they're both really good fits for what we want to do. So we feel like we have a good foundation. Now, we still have time left, and we have the draft and moving forward into the season when you can still acquire players. So we feel good about where we're at and the guys we've added, but we still got some work to do.
Outside of Daniel Jones, more than Jonathan Taylor, more than Alec Pierce, more than Tyler Warren, more than Bernard Ryman, I can keep on going down the list.
Mm-hmm.
There is not a more important Colt next year, and you need a great year from said player than Latu.
Yep.
I mean, that is the message the Colts have sent loud and clear with this offseason, that they are putting a lot of Easter eggs, and on Peeps eggs, by the way, a lot of quality Easter eggs in the basket of Mr. Latu. And I thought he had more flashes in year 2, to be fair to him. I have some intrigue. I don't know if I'm ready to hand him.
You hitching your wagon to that, though?
The car keys as much as they are, because, again, Mark, let's play this out. What did Chris Ballard just say there about DeForest Buckner? He's getting up there a little bit more in age. So
coming off an injury.
Right.
A major
neck
injury.
surgery. I mean, hell, he went to a different continent to try to get it figured out. If you are an opposing offensive coordinator and you're getting ready to block the Colts in a game, you might sit there and say, you know what? Should we take our chances with Buckner, given all that?
Mm-hmm.
And now maybe the double team slides out to Latu a little bit more. Now, what does that do to your edge rush? So, for the most part, Ballard's words out there at the owners' meetings were exactly kind of what I thought they would be, of like, we tried for Hendrickson, but then once we didn't get him, we said depth and we'll try to hit in the draft, which, trying to hit in the draft is look like Aaron Judge on opening night.
Yeah, it's not been ideal. I think that's a
USA
lot of pressure to put.
Classic.
It's a lot of pressure to put on Latu. And I mean, obviously, yes, we still have the draft to look to see what that, but even still, then you're putting pressure on Latu and a rookie or two, which, I mean, I don't care what position outside of quarterback, usually rookies in the NFL don't really show you that much in their first year. So kind of curious to see what that strategy is going to look like. Like I said, I think edge rushers, their biggest need. Linebackers still not looking great either. So they have some major issues on the defense. And I'm curious to see how Lou Anarumo plans to exactly stitch this thing together. We're going to be looking like Frankenstein come week 1. And we're going to be like, this is the defense. This is what it looks like. Let's see what we do here.
Gary chiming in here. Problem with Latu is that his flashes were interceptions.
Right.
I mean, there were definitely some of that.
Yeah.
Again, just a more consistent edge rush is what's needed here. So linebacker-wise, Bauer did mention that he feels like there's still a little bit out there in free agency that the Colts could dabble in, but he also likes this draft class. So, he did talk about how they have hit on linebacker in youth before. He's exactly right. I mean, linebacker and offensive line, those are the two areas that he has definitely hit on throughout his drafting tenure. One question I would have is the hits at linebacker have not been with this defensive coordinator. And again, go back to the Zaire Franklin audio we played a few weeks back, Mark, when Zaire was on with Jim Rome. Zaire mentioned, and again, to me, Zaire is a very cerebral player.
Mm-hmm.
He mentioned that the biggest difference from going from Gus Bradley's scheme to Lou Anarumo was just everything that needed to be communicated and called, and the diversity and play to play, week to week, et cetera, et cetera. How much of that do you want to throw on a rookie's plate?
Right.
At linebacker? That would probably be the biggest question.
Yes, you better be pretty confident in whatever those selections are, or if you're going to find a veteran that's is Bobby Okereke still out there?
Yeah, I think he is.
Okay.
I think he is.
So that's a name.
But I kind of thought Akeem Davis Gaither would solve that. But again, they do have cap space,
right?
And there are some veteran linebackers now. Are they going to make you sleep uber well? Who knows? But you could pursue a little bit of that. We'll chat with that with these topics with James Boyd coming up. He's going to join us 9:30 out there at the owners' meetings. Tom Crean coming up at 9 o'clock. We'll get his thoughts. He was on the Westwood One call of Duke and UConn in that Elite Eight game, and plenty to get to with the former IU coach as Final Four weekend here in Indianapolis is alive and well. Kevin Bowen, Mark Dykton, Caleb Zuver on a beautiful Tuesday here in Indy. We Grow Hair Indy. They are the gold standard when it comes to hair restoration, and they can help you out today. It is the best in the business up there on the Northwest side. We Grow Hair Indy. Darren Andrews and his staff are ready to help you out. It's funny. I won't mention any names, but I would say some prominent people here in the sports world of Indianapolis have reached out asking me about We Grow Hair Indy, my experience there, and I have been very encouraging and saying, okay, here's my experience. I'll give it to you straight up, but also just contact them. It's a free evaluation. It's a virtual evaluation. It's a private evaluation. Let them show you exactly what they can offer. One thing is, it's not like you just go there and be like, oh, this is what we do, and we do it to everybody. No, they're going to, shape something for you specifically, and they're going to make it look very natural. I don't think I was trying to look like an 18-year-old going to prom here with my hairline. So, and I think We Grow Hair Indy did that for me. They are the best in the business, and again, they happen to just call the 317 home. Northwest side, building number 2 at the Pyramids, the gold standard for hair restoration. We Grow Hair Indy. We are down to 4 in both the men's and the women's NCAA tournament. Women-wise, last night, it is all number 1 seeds, UConn, South Carolina, UCLA, and Texas. Actually, the same 4 that we had last year. So this tournament update brought to you by Urology of Indiana Vasectomy Centers. Of course, from a men's standpoint, not only will we have the Final Four starting Saturday in Indy, we got the NIT Thursday. That is Auburn, Illinois State, New Mexico, Tulsa. Those semifinal games are up at Hinkle Fieldhouse. The championship game will be 8 o'clock Sunday over at Gamebridge Fieldhouse. Leading into that will be the D2 and the D3 national championships. So Gamebridge will have 3 championships crowned, D2, D3, NIT, all on Sunday. I want to say that's 1 ticket gets you to all 3. So definitely check that out, and we'll continue to talk about all the Final Four events here in Indy. Again, this tournament update brought to you by Urology of Indiana Vasectomy Centers, board-certified physicians performing safe and effective vasectomies. View our video and schedule your procedure at vasectomyindy.com.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Tom Crean in about 10 minutes. Chat Final Four with him and much more. Always enjoy our chats with the former IU coach. James Boyd at 9:30. He's out in Arizona at the league meetings. We'll see who he ran into last night. He had a little humble Pat McAfee brag, did he not?
He did, yeah. He just said, oh, look at these names I just dropped. Let me pick them up real quick and hand them out for real quick.
Yeah, a little you-know-what on the deck there, to steal a phrase from Bill Rafferty. I don't I don't know if I'm speaking to the old, the easy, debatable IU versus Purdue angle here, but Mark, have you noticed over the last week or so the YouTube chat's been hot and heavy with the IU versus Purdue fan?
Oh, I've noticed. Yeah. Even on vacation, I was like, oh, it's getting a little heated in there. I'm like, what now? And they're like, oh, IU Purdue chatter. I'm like, well, that's a day that ends in a Y usually.
So you and I had this debate a little bit earlier, and we both, I would say, our biggest fandoms, the last title for those respective teams occurred, ironically, the year we were born.
Seems like we're good luck. I'm just saying.
Well, if we were, maybe there'd be a few more that would have happened since we've been born. But
nope, it was just our birth. That was it.
Nonetheless, you are a 1985 birth year, and of course, the Super Bowl winner that year.
Chicago Bears.
Your Bears. 1989 for myself and the national champions in football. Rest in peace to the great coach Lou Holtz and the Fighting Irish. Now, this is where I struggle with fandom and defining fandom. While that's great that there's nice history for Notre Dame and, for your Bears as well, I feel nothing towards those titles.
No.
Nothing at all. Sorry, I'm not, Frank Leahy wasn't really doing it for me. The Four Horsemen, I don't have vivid memories of, 3 yards in a cloud of dust there.
Big Red Machine doesn't do it for you as a Reds fan?
I love hearing stories about it, but, there weren't a lot of those moments. So let's bring that full circle. IU basketball fan versus Purdue basketball fan. If you are a 40 and under, let's cut it off there, right? So that means you would have been un year old when Keith Smart hit the shot. If you are a 40-year-old IU or Purdue basketball fan, there's no debate, right? Which fan you'd rather be over the last 40 years?
I don't think so. I would have to hear quite the argument as to why you would choose IU.
Are you allowed? Caleb, you be the tiebreaker. Are you allowed to count titles that don't happen under your birth?
In this discussion of which fan you would rather be.
Right. Okay. Let's live in your world for a moment. You are a Duke basketball fan.
Thought a lot about this. Yeah.
You were born in what year?
2001.
Okay.
So they won in the year I was born, like a couple months before I was born.
They obviously have won a title since that. So, I don't know if you are, living and dying with Elton Brand and, Bobby Hurley and those titles there. So are we being naive?
Well,
should Mark and I have more appreciation and act like we have fake joy for those titles that occurred prior to our births?
I will say this, again, with the game on Sunday, Duke and UConn have had a lot of battles over the years.
Sure.
1999, UConn upsets Duke in the final. Not a lot of people saw that coming because Duke only had one loss up until that point.
I remember waking up and asking my dad who won that game, and he told me UConn, and I didn't believe him.
Yeah, and then 2004, Duke blew kind of an 8-point lead, I think it was, in the last 2:30 in the Final Four. It was one of the J.J. Redick teams. And so, I'm sure for those Duke fans that were alive for that, losing that game Sunday probably hit on a different level. For me, I didn't really experience that feeling. So I guess that is kind of to your point, you can honor the history and have admiration for it, but I don't know if you really feel it on that deep level. So yeah, I would probably say Purdue would be the right answer of basketball fan base you would rather be.
I mean, again, if you look at it within this 40-year window, both have been the national runner-up, IU in 2002. Purdue, of course, a couple years ago. IU did make, 92, 93, one of those other Final Fours. If you look at it, obviously here, we talked about it a little bit earlier. We just wrapped up a Purdue senior class that is their winningest class. They won 10 NCAA tournament games. 10. I hate to play the game. How many years do we have to go back to find 10 IU tournament wins?
That's a great question.
Do you think we have to go back to the national runner-up in 2002? If you add up all the years, Tom Crean made it to several Sweet 16, so obviously there's a chunk. There's 6 wins right there. Woodson had, I guess if we count a playing game, there's 2. I mean, it's just, to me, there's no real comparison, right?
I don't think it's close.
Unless you want to count the titles that occur prior to you coming out of the womb, which Mark and I aren't lockstep in a lot of things, but we're lockstep in this.
Yeah, I don't agree. Yeah, if I go to Cubs games and I see like the 1908 championship banner down, I'm not like, yes, those are the days. No, I have no recollection of it. Like, no, I am appreciative of it, even though I go to Blackhawks games. 1961. All right, like my dad was 3 years old or something back then. So it's like even he doesn't have an appreciation for it.
Yeah, and I've said this quite often when it comes to sports. To me, what I want out of the teams that I root for is, can you create a window for me of sustained success? Can you create let's be realistic. Can you create a 5-ish year window where I feel like my team is going to be one of the ones that have a shot at it? And within those years, they're going to create unbelievable memories for me. Purdue has obviously had that with their basketball program. I would argue right now, and the Pacers obviously have, a little bit of a hiccup here, but you're not going to tell me that the 2 previous years weren't unbelievable memories, even though the Pacers didn't get the parade here? Like going to the Eastern Conference Finals the previous year against Boston. I mean, those were great memories. And then obviously last year's run is, almost cinema-like. That's what I want as a fan. Yes, obviously, you want the title. You want to get to the top of the mountain. But, if you're an Indiana football fan, go back to the Curtis Rourke year.
Yeah.
You didn't get some enjoyment out of, what they did in a 11-1 regular season there. That, to me, is what I want. Sure, you want the cherry on top. You want to get to the top of Everest. You can go with all those analogies. But can you give me a handful of year window where I feel like pretty much annually we're going to have a chance? And within those chances, there's going to be awesome memories, games, moments, road wins, this shot, this individual performance, all that.
I could be wrong because I'm doing
by
this.
the way.
Say that again?
2006.
I was going to say, I was doing the quick math. It looks like 2006 to get 10 tournament wins for Indiana.
So 20 years.
Yeah.
So Purdue just did in 3 years what IU is. Yeah, 20. It just, to me, I can't live with 87, 80. And again, I'm speaking to a portion of our audience. I want to be that very clear. Thank you to our audience, obviously, that is out there that obviously are IU fans that are, older and do remember the 87, 81, 76, etc. But again, there are other years within that are super enjoyable. Bob Knight has a strong affinity for a Big Ten title that doesn't fall into those 3 years. Even if you look at the Crean era before he was able to, get those teams to the Sweet 16, there were some other moments within that I feel like you hold in similar regard.
Yeah, and if you're an IU fan that's saying it's IU, no doubt about, like, you need to plead your argument to me, because I don't see how that's possible.
Banners are banners, Mark.
I don't care.
Have you ever heard "This Is Indiana," that song?
I have heard it. I've heard it plenty of times. But I also know that those banners have some dust on them. So if you're you were alive when those banners were fresh, great. That's awesome. But if you're in our age group, do those mean anything to you?
Like, I just finished watching the Soul Power documentary on Amazon about the ABA, and the Pacers had a big feature in several of those episodes. And I enjoyed listening and watching more on, again, a time where I unfortunately wasn't alive, but my dad tells me tons of stories about those Pacer ABA title teams. So it was very enjoyable for me to listen, get educated, kind of experience it through my dad's eyes. But I wake up today thinking, man, if there's like one title the city deserves more than any, it's an NBA title for the Pacers.
Yeah.
Like, and that feeling to me is still like, it's, honestly burning, frankly, from a fandom standpoint there. James Boyd in 35 minutes, Tom Crean in 5. Fan Morning Show today, the Misfits. We call us the Louisville Bats. It's the September call-up show. You've got Kevin Bowen, Mark Dykton, Caleb Zuber. Apologies ahead. Only one more hour to go.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
We are rolling into the 9 o'clock hour. It is one of the best weeks of the year, and for the first time in over a decade, it'll be plenty of fans infiltrating the great city of Indianapolis for the Final Four, a man that has experienced that as a head coach. And if I'm not mistaken, I want to say their first two games of that 0-3 run was at the RCA Dome. Let's head to the Payless Liquors hotline right now. He's one of our favorite guests. He's the former IU coach. He is Tom Crean. Coach, is that right? You guys beat Missouri, if memory serves, at the Dome. Is that right?
Absolutely. We beat Holy Cross in the first game on a Thursday, and then we beat Missouri in overtime inside of that Dome. A player that Missouri had, Ricky Paulding, missed a shot at the buzzer, and it put the game into overtime. And we did something that I'd never been a part of before or since. We went 10 for 10 in the overtime, and we won the game.
Oh, my God. What a dime to come up clutch there. What was, I guess let's stick here for just a second. You hear this a lot about Super Bowl week, and I get the preparation time's a little bit different, but did you find the break in between the Elite Eight and the Final Four challenging at all from a head coach standpoint and getting your guys kind of locked in come Saturday night?
Well, I think when we were in the practices, we were really good because we'd had a little issue between Missouri and Pittsburgh in the Sweet 16 with kind of feeling ourselves a little bit, and almost to the point where we had gone as far as we thought we could go, with our practice habits, and that wasn't the case. And I think we got shook out of that after the Pittsburgh practice, or the day before Pittsburgh, I should say. We win that game. We win the Kentucky game. So we were really locked into basketball. And so I didn't really have the issues with that, but there's just so many people around. And it's so much more now because that was pre-Twitter and that was anybody can be a journalist, right? I mean, it was all the networks were camped out. It was a big deal. And I think just the pageantry of it can soften you up a little bit. And I think that's why the level of practice, the level of your film study as a coach and a coaching staff, I mean, you can't get off script or out of character on what's most important, and that's to go into that tournament and be ready to win. But those things didn't hurt us. We just ran into a really good Kansas team, and we missed a bunch of close shots inside of that game. And if you miss close shots and your bigs are around the basket in the running game that Kansas had, we just couldn't stop it. So a lot of things got to go right in those games, but the week of preparation is really making sure that you do not get away from what got you there, and you keep getting that across as much as you can.
Coach, you were my eyes for quite a few of the games as you were on the call nationally for a lot of the tournament as I was making my drive to and from Florida. So very much appreciate that. You were also in the building for the UConn-Duke game. Your thoughts, your immediate reaction of the Braylon Mullins game winner?
Well, obviously I had a great view of it and seeing it all happen. And my initial reaction was to look at the replay right away because we've got a replay on a replay monitor right next to us. So I've seen some pictures since of that shot that I'm in the background of it. I'm looking dead at the replay. But I wasn't as stunned as you want to just make sure it counts because in radio, the most important two words are lay out, right? Like once something like that happens, it's the play-by-play man's job to just take it and run with it. So it wasn't like I was getting ready to say something. I just wanted to make sure it counted, and it was incredible. And the thing that stuck out to me was just how picture-perfect Braylon Mullins shot that ball. I mean, like he didn't hero shoot it. He didn't fade. He didn't shoot some cute shot. He shot a jump shot. And it was just right place, right time. For those guys with the steal and deflections and with Alex Karaban having the presence of mind of knowing the clock and knowing he didn't have as good a shot as his teammate did. And that assist, as great as the shot is, that is one of the most valuable assists that the NCAA tournament's ever seen.
Yeah, I think that's super, super well said, especially a player as accomplished as Karaban is. He easily could have taken that shot, and I don't think a teammate would have batted an eye. That's Tom Crean, of course. He was on the Westwood One call, and we're getting ready for the Final Four coming up this weekend. Let's go to the second game on Saturday night, Coach. Michigan and Arizona. To me, it's one of the more marquee matchups we've had in the Final Four in quite some time. Just your overall thoughts in what I think has all the makings to be a great, great game.
Well, it does. And to beat Michigan, no matter who it is, you've really got to attack their big men. And that's what Purdue did a couple of weeks ago when they won the Big Ten tournament championship, is they just went at his body and they spaced out the bigs and made them chase on the perimeter. They ran pick and roll. Yeah, Arizona is definitely physical enough, without question. They're as physical as anybody in the country to match up in a game like that. But to beat Michigan, you've got to do something different. And they're not as good in the ball screen game. Adaimara is certainly not, because he gets to that drop coverage, which means he's just backed off the ball, and he's putting a lot of pressure on the pull-up jump shot, or the pressure on him is what happens after his man sets a screen. And so the Michigan offense is at a high level right now because Jackson Lendenberg is playing like a guard, but he can also play like a power forward. I mean, so that matchup is really tough. But Arizona has got as good of 8 players as anybody in this tournament. And they have numerous ways that they can hurt you. They just don't have the bigs that can step outside and make threes. So they're going to have to be really good in the pick and roll game, getting the ball thrown back to the bigs, attacking, playing, going at their bodies inside. And that'll be a good game, because if you let the big men roam free for Michigan, they're really hard to beat.
Tom Crean joining us on the Payless Liquors hotline. Coach, I don't want to forget about the undercard, because a lot of people are looking at Arizona and Michigan and saying that's the heavyweight fight right there. I think UConn, Illinois is a pretty solid matchup as well. I want to get your thoughts on how you think UConn and Illinois looks on Saturday afternoon.
Well, people just have to remember, and you're right, it's going to be a week of looking at Arizona, Michigan, and then UConn, Illinois. You can't do that in this tournament. I mean, you can't do it in any Final Four, but you certainly can't do it in this. Remember, Houston last year had a huge lead in the second half against Florida, and lost the lead basically because they couldn't manipulate getting to the foul line enough, and shot a lot of jump shots and didn't create a lot of contact. So when you get into the games, anything can truly happen. And Illinois and UConn are definitely good enough to win this tournament, because remember, you only got to be better than the other team once. And that sounds goofy, but that's the truth. And so you just have to have really good game plans for that. UConn, for Illinois, it'll be like Illinois, who's already faced UConn this year and lost to them, but it'll be like facing a Michigan State team or a Purdue team with how much they run their offense and how much they screen. Like, I think the screening of UConn, and I said this different times on the broadcast, it really hurt Duke. It hurt Cam Boozer having to chase around those screens constantly, because what happens when you're not used to seeing all those screens, you run into them. And now Illinois has seen that, but they're going to put Illinois through more screens than even Michigan State or Purdue do. And they're really, really hard to navigate that. Now, can UConn win if they're 1 for 18 deep into the game in the Final Four in Indy versus all that length and size and shooting of Illinois? Probably not. But there's no reason to believe that they're gonna. They just missed a bunch of open shots the other day. But I think that game is going to be great. I think you're going to see 2 outstanding freshmen, and Braylon Mullins, obviously, from Greenfield, and Keaton Wagler, who is probably going to go higher in this draft than most people are even possibly anticipating right now. I mean, I think he's that good. So it's a game of great size, really good guard play. That game at the end of the day, to me, will come down to the point guard play of Stojakovic and Kylan Boswell versus Malachi Smith and Silas Damari Jr. Whichever point guard crew had a better overall game is probably going to be the winner of that game.
Tom Crean on the Payless Liquors phone line with us right now. Tom, we're going to get your thoughts on how you think Saturday plays out momentarily, but I want to get your thoughts on Purdue's season coming to an end on Saturday. How will you remember this era of Purdue basketball? Didn't see a national championship, but you had some pretty deep runs into March. How will you remember the Braden Smith, Zach Edey eras at Purdue?
Well, they did play for a national championship, which very few people can ever say that. And So I think that team did a fantastic job. I think Matt is one of the absolute best coaches in the country. I mean, he's in. If you're using one hand to pick the top 5 coaches, there's not a doubt in my mind he's in that hand, and he's a lot closer to the top of it than 4th or 5th. I mean, he's just an outstanding coach who understands his teams, understands what buttons to push, doesn't get too caught up in the emotion one way or the other of the way the season is going. And I think what he did after losing in the Big Ten, or after losing the last game of the year and then going winning that Big Ten tournament championship and getting to the other day, that speaks volumes about that group's resiliency, responsibility that they had to like each other and to that program to get over whatever was bothering them or hurting them or keeping them from being successful and figure it back out. And they just got beat by a team that just had more than them the other night. And so that was not more often than not, this group will be remembered for when they didn't win, it wasn't that they lost the game themselves. It was that somebody just beat them. And I think that's one of the great things you can say, but they sure had a heck of a lot more wins than they did anything else. And I think at some point, I think you would see some type of honoring for Braden Smith, Fletcher Lawyer, and Trey Kaufman-Wren, where they are honored and looked at together, and deservedly so.
Yeah, I would agree on that. Again, Tom Crean with us here on the Payless Liquors Hotline, Final Four week, alive and well in Indy. Coach, another year for Indiana comes to an end without an NCAA tournament berth, without an NCAA tournament victory, of course. And, I found myself kind of looking back, and, I think it's been 6 coaches since the Bob Knight era, and undoubtedly it was your era that has had the most success of any of them. And you walked in there, of course, under, frankly, roster hell. What do you think it was about your guys' plan, your guys' process, certainly a process that had to evolve from the first couple of years, that led to success that really no one else in the program has been able to replicate in the last 20 years?
Well, the times were so different, and so there was no way with what we dealt with having to build an entirely new roster. There was no way to get old or get big, and I shouldn't say not big, get old or get really good really quick. There was no portal. There was no NIL type stuff. I mean, I'm not even sure. We might have had grad transfers back then, but I'm not even sure if we did. But the bottom line is we had to have a true rebuild, like an old school rebuild that nobody would ever get the time to do anymore because there's no reason for it. You have too many ways that you can get your team better. The bottom line is we wanted to recruit to build a team that could win the Big Ten, because if you felt you could win, we felt if you could win the Big Ten, that you could play for the national championship. And I just think every step we took was about making sure that we were bringing in guys that you could improve with, that wanted to improve, that had a hunger, and whether they were from Indiana or not, they had the mental capacity to come in there and realize Indiana is really special, and it's a big deal to be here. And you may screw up here and there in your life, but, man, nothing's bigger than this program. And we really worked hard at that, and I thought we recruited to that. And then our individual player development of just being locked in and day out to their improvement, and I always saw myself as the lead player development coach, right? Like I had other really good coaches, but I wasn't going to miss those days. I was not going to miss when we were out with one guy to work out or 4 guys to work out or 3 guys to work out. And I think over the period of time, that's what it is. We kept a very, very hands-on approach to everything that we were trying to do in the program. And it doesn't mean we didn't lose, and it doesn't mean that we had all great days, but we were not going to leave to chance the level of improvement that was needed to compete at this level. And for the most part, a lot of times we did.
Tom Crean with us for another couple minutes on the Payless Liquors Hotline. Tom, we'll get you out on this question. 2-part question. How do you see how do you see Saturday night playing out? And then who's playing on Monday and who's walking out of Indy as champions?
I'm really not good with predictions. I'm not. And I just don't. I think there's too much uncertainty. There really is. I would tell you what I would be looking at in these games. And you really can look across the tournament and see this to be true. Like the other night when Houston lost to Illinois, they shot 2 free throws the entire night. Now, Houston had been in the 350s, okay, and there's like 362, 363 Division I schools in free throw rate, which means they weren't used to getting to the free throw line, right? They didn't get there a lot based on their offense. Those are the things that you look at. Who's getting to the foul line? All right, where the points off turnovers are. Like a great example the other day, Duke and UConn. In the second half, Duke had 8 turnovers to 1 turnover for UConn, and I think the points might have been 14-0 in the second half. And so, like, those things are real. Rebound margin, second chance points, those things are real. It's not just about how you shoot it, because the shooting percentages can get skewed by those layups or by those runouts and rebounds. If there's ever a time that the hustle game matters, it's the higher you go up the ladder in basketball. And so if people are looking to see who they think is going to win, you've got to really, really study those points off turnovers, second chance points, who gets to the foul line on a consistent level. Another example, Duke the other day, in 3 previous games, they had been 18 of 23 on average from the foul line, where their 3 opponents had been on average 5 out of 8. Okay, it's crazy, right? Well, UConn got a couple more free throws in the game than Duke. They end up winning the game by 1. Those things are the things that matter, and I focus on that more than who I think is, in my mind, is going to win.
Should be 2 great ones coming up on Saturday night, and the man breaking it down for us, Tom Crean. Again, you heard him on Westwood One, and his insights have been terrific throughout the tournament and on these airwaves. Coach, thank you so much. Best to the family, and safe travels to Indy.
Priest, let me ask you this. How did I do be in your eyes on those trips? Was I good?
Excellent. You and Scott Graham were outstanding. I thoroughly enjoyed the listen. It was very, very enjoyable.
Good,
A+.
Good to hear. Scott Graham is next level. I've been fortunate in all these broadcasting positions to work with some incredible play-by-play people. Scott was awesome.
Yeah, you guys are incredible. Very well done.
All right. Well, good to hear. Makes my day. Thank you.
Thanks, Coach.
Yep, thank you.
That is Tom Crean right there on the Payless Liquors hotline. You know, I would say this even if I didn't just hang out with Tom Crean. He's one of my favorite college basketball analysts. And it's a bummer, Mark, that I don't get to hear more of his games. It seems to be kind of a Big 12 focus. And I know he doesn't do a lot of Timberwolves stuff.
Yes.
So his schedule probably doesn't allow for the Robbie Hummel, type of quantity there. But I think he's really good. You know, he did IU Marquette, I think it was, earlier this season. And I enjoy it.
Yeah.
The few times he's been on the Notre Dame calls, I'm like, yes, I'm going to learn something. So
driving to Florida, I didn't mind the late tip times for games and everything like that. And I also really didn't mind it once I heard Tom Crean and Scott Graham on the call, because I'm like, I'm getting good analysis. Like I said, they were my eyes, and they painted a beautiful picture because they were giving me great breakdowns and analysis every single time.
I think I've got some good, IU basketball news we'll share here on a morning checkdown. Boys, I just downed a whole cluster truck chicken Caesar wrap.
The YouTube stream saw it all.
Yeah, you inhaled that thing.
Dude.
I was boning up on my Heimlich maneuver, making sure I knew how to do it just in case someone was sideways here.
Now, we got the Kevin Bowen burger coming here in a few weeks. You know, double the bacon, right?
Oh, well, say no more.
Crispy and chopped bacon on that American cheeseburger. You want a little lettuce? Throw a little lettuce on there. Excellent. 10 years ago today, Cluster Truck was created. How about that?
Look at that.
Hot, fresh food. Great menu. I think the variety on the menu is one of the best. So I know you two will enjoy, probably in a little bit more of a polite way than I just consumed my chicken Caesar wrap. But sorry about you, boys. I love Cluster Truck. And one thing I do love about them, the philanthropic nature. 20% of sales for the Kevin Bowen burger. A couple other burgers that will be revealed as well. They go to the IU Simon Cancer Center.
And
so, absolutely love that.
Coming up this weekend, your last chance to get the
Dunk
Fest, right?
Yes.
We're
Dunk
getting it.
Fest. Yep. Saturday and Monday, you can have that available to you. Chicken strips, churros, chips and queso, cheese bread. Excellent, especially if you got kids, especially if you're hosting people coming up this weekend. All right,
well,
Caleb.
Real quick, of course, we always like, watch the YouTube chat so you can watch Kevin and Hale sandwiches during interviews. But
Was I chewing with my mouth closed?
I don't know. You sounded fine over here, but you can also listen to us, and you want to keep listening to the morning show all day long and the Ride with JMV for your chance to win a pair of tickets to the 2026 State Farm College Slam Dunk and Three-Point Contest at Hinkle Fieldhouse. That's this Friday, April 3rd. Your next chance to win tickets coming this afternoon when Jeff Rickard slides in the chair in replacement of JMV for the day.
Fletcher Lawyer action, right?
There you go.
Little action there at Hinkle. All right, let's check it down.
The Morning Checkdown on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
All right, let's start with the good news in Bloomington from a hoop standpoint here. On3.com is reporting that Trent Sisley will be back for his sophomore season. I think there are a lot of questions at Indiana about the lack of playing time Darren DeVries was giving Sisley there late in the season, but the freshman, I think he was close to a five-star recruit, if not a five-star. It sounds like he will be back for year two. Again, not a lot of roster retention for Indiana coming up in year two. Nick Dorn is also one that has eligibility, but they have got to replace a ton here coming up in the portal. They do have some wings, some guards and wings in this freshman class here, but boy, do they need a point guard, and boy, do they need some big guys. But I'd say the Sisley news qualifies as good news for Indiana.
I would say that's very good news. Yes. Excellent. Baseball-wise, White Sox got their first win of the season as they topped and of course my page just refreshed. They topped the Marlins 9-4. Cubs dominated the Angels. That game was over in the first inning, I'm telling you right now. 7-2 win over the Angels yesterday. Reds shut out 2-0 win over the Pirates, so they stay hot. 3-1 start for them. Cardinals fall 4-2 to the Mets, and then the Brewers suffered their first loss of the season, 3-2 losers to the Tampa Bay Rays. And, of course, the Indianapolis Indians, they're looking for their first win of the season. They visit the Columbus Clippers, and that's a first pitch tonight at 6:15.
Oh, the white bean chili. Have you gotten that from Cluster Truck?
I have not. No, I actually was looking for, because you mentioned the Kevin Bowen burger in our group chat the other day, and I was looking for it yesterday. It was going to be my order today, but it's not on the menu
It's
yet.
Coming. I think mid to late April.
Okay.
And then all through the month of May, of course.
So I have to get through the Masters first.
You do. But the pimento cheese sandwich is going to pop up there for Cluster Truck.
All right. I'll wait with bated breath.
Speaking of waiting, we'll wait a few days for the women's Final Four, but we know it'll be all one seeds and the four teams we saw last year. Actually, the first time since I think they said 2017, maybe 2018, that
does seem wild.
Had all the one seeds make it. I would have thought we had that sooner. I guess Caitlin Clark's Iowa teams weren't always the one seed, and they got on a run. But UConn, South Carolina, UCLA, and Texas. That's what you're looking at from a women's bracket. None of the Elite Eight games were close at all. We mentioned transfer portal Trent Sisley reportedly back to IU. Finley Bizjack, Butler, I'd say probably their second best player behind Michael Ajayi this year. He is entering the portal. I think he's flirted with it in years past, Texas kid, so we'll see where he ends up in the portal there for Butler. Final Four events really get started, I guess, Thursday. You'll have the NIT semifinals coming up at Hinkle. From a free standpoint, not only do you have concerts going on just south of here, but Mark, that Friday open practice, Tom Crean touched on it right there. We heard Luke Meredith, Braylon Mullins, high school coach, in the 8 o'clock hour. Those are free, and I believe it's free parking at Lucas Oil Stadium on Friday. So I think Luke said noon is when UConn starts their practice over there at Lucas Oil. So those are free to the public here coming up on Friday. If I remember correctly, pretty much they go back to back. All four of those teams over there for their open practices. We'll have Sarah Meyer, the great Sarah Meyer, joining us on the from the Indiana Sports Corp this time tomorrow. She will be chatting about all the fan-related events to the Final Four coming up this weekend. Pacers got nothing today. They got a practice, I should say. Then they're off to Chicago. They've got the Bulls coming up tomorrow, at the Hornets Friday, at the Cavs on Sunday. And really, that's about it.
I was going to say NFL has announced that usually I feel like they're scrambling for Hard Knocks teams for the training camp edition. Seattle Seahawks, defending Super Bowl champs, going to be the Hard Knocks training camp team this summer. So there you go. It'll be on August on HBO Max.
Interesting.
They've already announced the Patriots in 2027. Like, well, how are they announcing these teams right out of the gate? I thought there's parameters, but I guess.
And I thought I think this is how they used to do it. Wasn't it like you had to do a non-playoff team? Was that a thing, or am I imagining that?
I think the previous rules were this. If you were a non-playoff team, but your head coach was returning for another season, you were eligible to be picked. Now, you can always volunteer yourself for Hard Knocks.
Sure.
So I don't know if that's what's happening here. But basically, for example, the Colts could have been picked this year. They missed the playoffs, but Shane Steichen is not a new head coach. They would fall into that category.
Yeah. So instead, you get the Seahawks this year, and then I guess the Patriots in 2027. So they're already lining up teams now. In season wise, who knows what they're doing? Seem to be doing divisional teams. So maybe the Colts appear if they do an AFC South. Run around in the in-season one. So we'll see.
Yeah, I'm going to go out on a limb and say Colts fans are probably content with no Hard Knocks.
Are you saying the AFC South might not be the draw that they're hoping for? They might go elsewhere?
I think the Colts have had their Hard Knocks history, and frankly, they're trying to create some new history in the month of January than what they have here in years past. Speaking of all that, James Boyd, he's going to join us live from Arizona. We appreciate him waking up early. Did hear from Chris Ballard yesterday, Shane Steichen later today. We'll chat with one of our own, James Boyd, coming up next.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Thank you to Tom Crean for the insight, as always. That'll be up on the podcast. We had Luke Meredith, the high school coach of Braylon Mullins. Fun insight from him on kind of the Braylon Mullins story, the recruitment of Braylon Mullins. I know is always a polarizing topic here in this state, so that'll be up on the podcast as well. It is the show of the Misfits. We have our captain not with us this morning. That would be Jeff Rickard. You'll hear him 3 to 6 actually this afternoon, filling in for JMV. And we don't have our rising king of all media either.
Very disappointing. I feel like we're floating without an anchor right now.
We are well floating.
Taking on waves, taking on water.
Floating would be maybe not the best statement. I think we're struggling right now. We are swimming upstream, but
we're the SS Minnow in Jaws, and the shark is barreling towards us.
I believe he is here, and he's probably like, dude, why the hell are you guys trying to make jokes right now? I got crusty eyes. This is the last thing I want to be doing. James Boyd's a good human, so he's joined us here. You think he's got a take on Peeps?
Oh, yes. Okay. So, James, before we even get into any of the nitty-gritty with the Colts, are you a Peeps fan?
Trash. Absolute trash.
Thank you. Okay, Caleb is on an island. He can kick rocks.
Oh, my goodness, guys.
James, that's all we needed, man. Head back to bed before the Shane Steichen breakfast.
That was it. No, Caleb was standing on the mountaintop saying he was not alone on this, and I was like, I think you are. I think you were very much.
Yeah.
They are disgusting. Texture-wise and just taste, no thank you. Your lips and tongue look crazy colors at the end. He said he was going to go pick up some what is it, Dr. Pepper with Peeps afterwards?
Kroger.
I was like,
That's
are you
what somebody
insane?
said in the chat, so I'm going to try those after the show.
Pepper Peeps?
I can save some for you Friday, James. I mean, come on.
Oh, no, don't poison me.
No, I'm calling a cardiologist for Caleb as we speak.
The last time Caleb gets an invite with James to a Pacer game, if he's bringing those out of his pocket here. James Boyd from The Athletic. Okay, James, you heard from Chris Ballard yesterday. Is the Shane Steichen, is the AFC coaches breakfast today? Is that right, schedule-wise?
Yeah, so in about an hour, I'll head over to the other very fancy hotel that I cannot afford, and that's where we'll talk to Shane Steichen.
Okay, Ballard-wise from yesterday, the gist of it was we did pursue Trey Hendrickson, and when that didn't work out, we decided to pivot to depth. Is that kind of the gist of the big picture storylines for the Colts this offseason?
Yeah, for sure. And, in typical Chris Ballard fashion, which in fairness to him, every GM is going to say, we're improving. We like what we did. They're not going to come out and say, you know what, we're actually not doing exactly what we wish we could. But, yeah, it sounded like they were in on Trey Hendrickson. He confirmed that. But at the same time, there hasn't been, in my opinion, an adequate replacement to that level of player or that caliber of player. Depth is great. But Arden Key, Michael Clemens, two guys he praised and said, hey, we need their toughness and grittiness and energy. Those guys, to me, aren't going to be needle movers when it comes to getting to the quarterback, especially if you look at, from a whole, just how the NFL works. You might need a dude. I know he referenced, when they set the single-season sack record for the team a few years ago, that was kind of by committee. But at the same time, that was also, I believe, one of their worst years when it comes to a point standpoint on defense, giving up a lot of points.
James, we were talking about it a little earlier with missing on Hendrickson in free agency and then not really having a backup plan. You're kind of putting a whole lot of pressure on Latu to kind of carry the load here as DeForest Buckner's coming off major neck surgery and all that. Are you if you're Chris Ballard, obviously he has confidence that Latu can take up this load. Are you confident that Latu can carry this much?
I'm not as confident, but also I feel like I'm a pessimist, so maybe I need to be a little more optimistic. But he did say, hey, Latu is trending in the right direction. He had 8.5 sacks last year. He was close on a few more. We believe he can be a double-digit sack guy. But my thing is, even if he is, what about the other side of the pass rush? What about the other side of the defensive line? How is that going to help things for Latu? I mean, yeah, even if he becomes a better player, there's still one player you have to account for on the edge as a game wrecker versus some other guys who, again, they're fine players as depth pieces, but they're just not game changers. So we'll see if the draft perhaps, offers some solutions. He also mentioned JT Tuimoloau as a piece that they're looking to build on and said that, hey, he could be a really good player for us. But, again, that's a guy who was a healthy scratch a few times last year and only played, I think, 24% of the team's defensive snaps when he did play in games.
James Boyd joining us on the Payless Liquors Hotline out in glorious Arizona, probably sipping a nice, nice little morning tea or something like that. By the way, what is
the pulp is in the orange juice?
Yeah, you know it. Real quick, sidebar here. What these breakfasts with the coaches and stuff like? Are these like the Masters dinners where they're like a specific thing, or is it like biscuits and gravy and like bacon and all that a la carte? What are we looking at here on the breakfast spread?
Yeah, I would say for the media, our breakfast that we get is not the same as the one that Carly Ursay-Gordon is probably eating this morning. But it's typical. Hey, there might be a few donuts, a few muffins and some bacon, hopefully no limp bacon, Kevin.
Yes.
But last night was the annual media party / everybody comes party. So you had all the coaches there, GMs, their families, a couple players. Odell Beckham Jr. was out there yesterday, and the food at that was immaculate. I definitely ate a lot more than I probably should have, but again, I was thinking to myself, I will not be paying for anything like this in the near future, so better get it while it's free.
Yes, more caviar this way for Mr. Boyd.
What was this the anniversary of you almost tripping Serena Williams?
Yes. I definitely had the head on the swivel this year, Kevin, and I was thinking to myself, all right, if anybody has their back turned, just make sure you look a little bit to make sure they're not exactly the GOAT before you ask them to move out of your way.
All right, sidebar over. Back to this Chris Ballard discussion. He talked about Anthony Richardson, kind of left the door open as far as him being on the roster in 2026. It seems like the trade market, there isn't one at the moment. So, are you more leaning towards that he is going to be on the Colts roster when they get to training camp?
I don't think I'm still there yet, honestly, because the way Chris Ballard spoke about the quarterback position was a little, to me, contradictory, because in one vein, he's like, hey, we like Riley Leonard, but we could also add another quarterback. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, if you add somebody, what does that mean for Anthony Richardson? Oh, well, he could still be here. We believe in him and things like that. But I think they have to make a decision just point blank. Is he going to be on our team or not, regardless if we can trade him? And I think that there's the possibility that they can move on from him or possibly cut him outright. I'm not saying they will do that, but I think they have to consider it, because to me, the big optics or the perhaps distraction of Anthony competing with Riley Leonard to be your QB2 doesn't exactly line up with everything they said this offseason. I mean, if you talk to them, they said, hey, right now today, Riley's our QB2. Granted, we haven't really had an update on Anthony and his eye and where he's at, but just talking to them and reading the tea leaves, they talk about Riley like he's a big part of their future. With Anthony, it's like, oh, yeah, this guy's on our team. We like him. We wish him the best. But it doesn't sound like, at least in my mind, he's a big part of their plans moving forward. So do you want to deal with that going into another season? Is it wise to keep him around possibly? If Daniel Jones isn't ready, I think that's probably a good thing to do. But optically, I just wonder how many times you can really, go down that road with Anthony and say you believe in him and then not really get, anything materialized.
And that's the voice of James Boyd, of course. You hear him on these airwaves, and he's out in Phoenix right now. A little breakfast with Shane Steichen upcoming the league's annual meetings. James, you tweeted out, and obviously he's got stories up on The Athletic, but you tweeted out yesterday kind of some takeaways from Chris. And you mentioned one of those being Chris Ballard believes Daniel Jones can be even better in 2026 with another year in Shane Steichen's system. Is that purely from like the mental acumen of just like being in an offense for an additional year? Because, he is losing one of his top wideouts and he is coming off a torn Achilles. So I'm just curious if he added any kind of color around that.
Yeah, and I think that's the biggest takeaway over the last couple of days in regards to Daniel is Carly Ursay-Gordon, Chris Ballard truly believe that, yes, he's coming off the Achilles, coming off the injury, but his chemistry with Shane Steichen will do a lot of wonders to help him get up to speed a lot quicker from a mental standpoint, because he already knows the offense and he knows what he wants to do in it. And so in theory, in a vacuum, yeah, you could say, okay, in another year in the system, Daniel Jones, as smart as he is, as hard as he works, will be better. But the pushback that I've had for both Carly Ursay-Gordon and Chris Ballard is that this guy is always hurt, unfortunately, and he's coming off a devastating injury. And I wrote it in my story this morning at The Athletic. They treat this injury as if it's the housefly in the room versus the elephant in the room. And I'm thinking to myself, as optimistic as you all have been, this makes no sense to me. This is a devastating injury, and everyone keeps acting like it's nothing. It is definitely something, and I think that's something they have to, consider moving forward. And so we'll see how the rehab goes and if he's available at the start of the season. But this is very, very optimistic, and honestly, it might be just malpractice if you look at how things are going.
It does seem like this season is turning into a bunch of hopes and wishes as far as what the roster could be. We hope Daniel Jones will be back. We hope he'll be like he was when we started the season, and DeForest Buckner's fully healthy. It's a lot of hopes and wishes for my liking right now.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Hope it isn't really a plan. And I get it. You still have, the draft to get through. You have the latter stages of free agency. And, again, I'll sit up here and say this. Last year, I didn't believe in anything that they were doing as far as the quarterback plan, and it worked out well. I had to eat crow for about 10 weeks there before Daniel really got seriously injured. So perhaps it could work out, but I just can't sit here and say right now today you're a better team than you were, and you're trending upward when it comes to some of the roster management this offseason. So we'll see, again, what the draft brings and if you can hit on some players. But to me, it feels like you have so many deficiencies and glaring holes that you might not be able to adequately address all of them by the end of this offseason.
Well, James, we won't bother you tomorrow. You are free from us tomorrow, so enjoy. Order another steak and eggs on the company dime, okay?
I got one more, James.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Elephant versus housefly. I mean, honestly, the housefly can be Tyreek Hill in the open field. The housefly can be pretty tough.
I get that, but just imagine an elephant in your living room, and then I think you'll be okay with a little housefly going around. If you get it, great. If you don't, it's like, all right, it's not the worst thing in the world, but an elephant? Come on now. You dealt with blowouts with babies, KB. An elephant blowout, that's a little different.
Last thing. Would you eat 50 peeps between now and Saturday to get front row tickets to see your Fighting Illini?
Oh.
You've got 4 days to eat 50
This is
peeps.
not a hard question.
Would you
Come
eat
on, James.
50 peeps between now and 6 p.m. Saturday night to sit front row to watch your Illini?
I'd probably do it. And I would feel some pain, I think, after doing
50
it.
50 peeps to your body is the elephant in the room, brother.
Mm-hmm.
I know. I mean, I don't know if they'll stay down in the body, but I'd probably do it. And I'm just telling, as far as Caleb, I love your brother, but I would do that because I'm trying to see my team go compete for a national championship, whereas you are just eating them voluntarily. I'm judging very hard on that. Like, man, I know we have our differences, but, boy, we will never see eye to eye on that.
I know they call him Indiana Bones, but if he's down in 50 peeps to sit courtside, he's getting 2 seats, one for one cheek and one for the other. Because
can you imagine? I mean, honestly,
it's a lot of sucrose.
His pipes in his apartment might look like the color of peeps when he's all done with those 51.
I know, man. I know.
James, have a great breakfast, brother. We appreciate you waking up early each and every morning with us here. And as Mark said, we'll chat with you on Thursday.
Yeah, a little double dips. I'll be checking in after Shane talking to the boss man on JMV's show. So for those listening, tune in this afternoon at, I believe, 5 o'clock your time. I'll be on.
3 to 6 today. Jeff filling in for John. Thank you, James.
All right, anytime, guys. Bye.
James Boyd right there. You can find his work, of course, on The Athletic. We'll do it one final time. Kevin Bowen, Mark Dykton, Caleb Zuber.
Ex-girlfriend, boyfriend was boring as hell, but let me listen to the story you tell, and we can make moves like a person in jail on the low.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Oh, Caleb, a little outcast to play us out today. I love it.
Come on, man.
Love this album.
Just trying to be as good as you back here with the music selections. It's tough.
Kevin taking an extra long time in the bathroom, I guess, apparently.
Must have ate some Peeps. Oh, you know what it was?
It wasn't the Peeps.
It was that rap. That's what it was.
You know what? Yeah, he wolfed that down, and the gut said, hey, we're about to get in the car for a little bit, so we should probably get business done here. No, you're good.
Oh, man.
Anyway, so as Kevin makes his return back in the bill, I will remind you, keep listening to the Fan Morning Show and the Ride with JMV for your chance to win a pair of tickets to 2026 State Farm College Slam Dunk and Three-Point Contest at Hinkle Fieldhouse this Friday, April 3rd. Next chance to win this coming this afternoon when Jeff is in the chair for JMV. Everything okay out there?
Yeah, sorry, I was chatting with Nick Cotton Jim out there, so apologies on that end.
No, you're
That
good.
was a quick break. Jeez.
We were worried that you digested the cluster truck so fast it was not going well.
Oh no, cluster truck is such great food. It sits in your system beautifully. If I would have had a peep or two though, that could have been different.
Maybe we need to have a. Oh God,
Is
I don't even want to say
this true? Do Peeps even make you do that? You guys just making it up to just trash the name. I think that's what's happening.
I remember
here.
the Malcolm in the Middle episode. Have you ever seen Malcolm in the Middle, Caleb?
Yeah.
The episode where Francis has to eat 100 Peeps or whatever it is.
Yeah.
That turned me off big time to it. It was just absolutely
Caleb
disgusting.
watches nonstop.
It's his favorite episode. No, my brother loved him as a kid. Like they get him in the Easter baskets, and he would wolf them down. I'm like, that is just true. It tastes like sandpaper, marshmallow sandpaper.
Just awful. Yeah, awful.
Truly heinous.
By the way, earlier in the show, we had on Luke Meredith, Braylon Mullins high school coach. Obviously, the Braylon Mullins local angle will be a big one to focus on Saturday. We should mention Illinois actually has two rotational players, courtesy of Cathedral High School and Tipton High School. Cathedral kid Jake Davis, he's got the hair. He's got the good-looking hair there. Jason Delaney, Cathedral's head coach, was on with Jake yesterday, told a great story about Jake Davis and his impact at Cathedral, known for taking charges. And I'm going to butcher the kid's last name from Tipton. Ben, I'm not even going to try to attempt it. It starts with an H, and then there's a lot of letters after that. But they both play decent roles for Brad Underwood's team. The Tipton kid actually played over at Huntington. That's where he got his initial start in college. So he has gone from NAIA Huntington to now playing. He stopped at Evansville, and now he is a rotational member of Illinois' team. How about that? NAIA
awesome.
to playing in your home state in the Final Four.
Not bad. Not bad at all.
Pretty cool.
I know I have Arizona and UConn in my national championship. I would not be upset if Illinois pulled it off because I think Brad Underwood has done a fantastic job out there with that. By the way, Alex Laverne in the chat said, why don't we combine our two loves, Caleb's Peeps and our mayo on top? I said, I would puke.
Oh, yeah.
That's probably too far for me. But
I literally rather stand on the backstretch of lap 200 and Indy 500 and try to dodge cars.
That sounds horrific.
By the way, right now, do you guys feel like you're in the Indy 500 dodging the potholes?
Yes. My God, especially when we come when the sun isn't up just yet.
Do you know where they are on the streets you drive at this point?
Yeah.
I mean, I could fit all three of my children in some of these.
There's ones that are like craterous where I'm just like, I feel like this is a sinkhole that's about to open up. There's some massive ones out there.
I am new to Indy, but man, Keystone Avenue, whoo, just going through it, man.
It's like
got to take it every day, and
it's
oh
like
boy,
Frogger right out there. I mean, it's just unbelievable. Trying to dodge all that. It's kind of a quiet month for IndyCar, by the way. Oval test with out there over at IMS. By the way, I saw Connor Daly yesterday at the old cluster truck burger photo shoot. He will have a burger as well, and he is with Dreyer Reinbold here. Him and Jack Harvey, I believe, teammates coming up. So
you guys do a little trash talk to each other because like you guys are trying to see if your burgers do better.
Well,
and your stinks.
You know, we're all trying to raise money, but you better believe there's some competition there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I'll let the other burgers get released. You know, I don't know if they're making any last minute ingredient changes here, but why mess with success with mine?
I was gonna say, do you get to change yours up if you wanted to, or are you just like you're gonna like no?
I took tomato off yesterday.
Okay, I'm a fan of that. I don't like tomato.
Okay, good.
So that's big points in my book.
I literally almost thought about texting you before.
I appreciate the offer.
I'm like, I need to consult with Mark here before I make life decisions.
As I was stuffing oatmeal cream pies and jerky in my backpack.
Did again, no Pacer game tonight. They'll play tomorrow, 7 to go. Did you guys fully catch, and Mark, you might have been driving. Did you fully catch the ending of that game Friday night?
I heard about it. I did not hear it or see it, though.
All right. Caleb, feel free to fill in any details that I'm missing here. But, I think it gets lost in like the NCAA tournament just shuffle, and I get it's spring break for a lot of people, or people just aren't paying attention, frankly, to the Pacers right now. But, okay, Benedict Matherin's back in the building, all right? He's making a bunch of free throws. The Pacers have a lead. All of a sudden, they're trying to ice the game. And Kawhi Leonard hits a shot that looks like it's the game winner. Typical Kawhi, 15-footer, hits a game-winning shot. At least we think it is. They end up having 0.4 on the clock. Clippers are up 1. Pacers advance the ball. Andrew Nembhard's inbounding it. He throws the ball in the hoop from out of bounds. Goes in.
Oh, my God.
Now, showing Maddie this. Maddie leaps and thinks that, it counts. I'm like, no. That's a violation. Okay, so now Clippers ball. The Pacers foul Matherin. He goes the line to try to ice the game with like 0.3 on the clock. He misses the first. So smartly, Tyronn Lue says, miss the second. I mean, there's 0.3. You just want the time to evaporate.
Right.
You can't throw it length of the court in 0.3. Matherin misses it, but the Pacers get fouled with time still on the clock. I think Siakam maybe got fouled. So now we're back to where we were a minute ago. Pacers inbounding the ball, down 1, trying to get a tip-in situation. Jay Huff flops like you've never seen. I mean, it was one of the more beautiful flops you've ever seen. He gets fouled down 1 with 0.1 on the clock. So he goes to the foul line with a chance to either win it or send the game in overtime. I did not know this, but somebody told me Jay Huff is an 80% foul shooter.
Boy.
He looked like an 8% foul shooter.
I was going to say.
With the game on the line.
I did see he clanked both. Both of them.
Brick.
Yeah.
Pacers lose by 1.
That is imagine if you just the wild swings of emotion if you had any at that point. But it's insane.
Can you imagine if like that game like really, really mattered?
I know. Well, I guess for the Pacers, hopefully, in the losing effort, hopefully just, helps your chances as far as getting that overall number 1 pick.
We will remember that when the Pacers have some of the best odds, and we'll remember those Jay Huff missed free throws.
The clank game.
Well, very fittingly, that wraps up the Noblesville Boom show of the day here on The Fan.
I thought we got a lot done here.
Thank you for bearing with the Misfits. Kevin Bowen, Mark Dykton, Caleb Zuber. We greatly appreciate that. We'll be back with Jeff tomorrow, back with James on Thursday. Thank you to Luke Meredith, Tom Crean, and James Boyd. All of that up on the podcast. Reminder, Jake noon to 3, Jeff Rickard 3 to 6 today, filling in for John. Everybody have a great, great Tuesday. We'll talk to you tomorrow.